It's the Orioles on Masson, and Fenway Park is the site for Game 2 of this 4-game set on a Saturday afternoon, and it is going to be a cold one here in Boston. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome. For the Orioles, their catcher is out. Wieters, not sure when he'll be back. J.J. Hardy, ready for rehab, not sure when he'll be back. And now they have lost their second baseman. Jonathan Schoop went on the DL today. The injury not on the slide by Sandoval at second base in the game last night, but on a play that came earlier in the game at first base. Here it is. He got tangled up at first, running out the ground ball, tripped and went down. Got back up, stayed in the ball game. In fact, he ended up finishing the game, but that was when the injury occurred. At the end of the ball game, you can see him limping as he heads out. That was the final play of the game. You can see him pull up short, and then afterwards, if you look up in that upper right-hand corner, you see him leaving and limping and hurting. As a result, posterior cruciate ligament, which is torn, and MCL strained. The Orioles are saying probably for Jonathan Schoop it is going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
Right now I feel a bit stiff. Like I cannot bend it. I feel stiff, that's it. I don't feel like something like hurt me, like pinching me. I feel like stiff, that's it. But it's just worse than it's not worse, but it's like worse than I thought.
Well, Mike Bordick, it's another. It's already been a long season for the Orioles in the DL department.
Yeah, a tough injury there. Obviously, Jonathan Schoop off to a real nice start offensively with the 3 home runs and playing magnificently defensively as well. But something that the Orioles have relied on here the past few years is the depth that they've created in this organization. So Jonathan Schoop down for a little while. They have the depth. They've got Ryan Flaherty will fill in there nicely. Cabrera when J.J. Hardy comes back and plays second base. And then there's some nice infielders at AAA right now. Giannis is doing a good job, a great defender in AAA, and, of course, Nick. So there are some guys that have major league experience that can fill in for injured players on the infield. Ideally, of course, they'd love to go with their A-team, but when they don't have the A-team on the field, there are certainly qualified players to fill in.
Paredes has come up. He will take the place on the roster. Buck Showalter said he'd like to have taken a pitcher, but he didn't have anybody else playing the infield. So Paredes is here for this ballgame. On Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at ococean.com. Putting a period on last night's game, Ubaldo Jimenez got thrown out. Why? Because he hit Pablo Sandoval up high. Sandoval had slid hard into second base earlier in the game, but it was apparent afterwards that that had nothing to do with Sandoval getting hit. Why Ubaldo Jimenez got thrown out? Who knows? But Showalter came out to argue, and then after the game, here's what he said.
I guess he's thinking that someone's mad about somebody sliding hard. I mean, we all aspire to play that game that way. It's, quite frankly, professionally embarrassing. Quite contrary to what people think. Every time somebody gets hit, it's not intentional. And we applaud anybody sliding hard or playing the game right. We try to do that, too. In fact, we're proud to be in a game that both sides are doing that.
Well, pretty interesting night, obviously, in yesterday's game. Baldo getting ejected early on, and I think this team really can move past it in a hurry. But the effects are going to be lingering because of what it did to the bullpen. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this week plays out.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Orioles, brought to you by Southwest. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Diaz, Pearson, Davis, Jones, Paredes is in. Machado, Joseph, Flaherty, and Cabrera against Boston. Good numbers for Mr. Flaherty.
And let's take a look at Clay Buchholz's pitch arsenal this season. Got a fastball he uses 70% of the time. He's got 3 fastballs, 4-seamer, 2-seamer, and the cut fastball. Breaking balls, big curveball, and the change he's been using as well. Also has a split finger, yet to show that this season. 7.84 earned run average. Had a good first start, but his last start he got roughed up in a big way, only lasting 3 1/3 innings. Gave up the 9 earned runs.
And Alejandro Diaz stands in, and we're underway on this Saturday afternoon. It is 48 degrees. The wind is blowing in, and it's cold. It's a bone-chilling cold wind that is coming off the water today and will only get colder as the sun sets here in this late afternoon start. 1-0 delivery on the way, in the air to center. Balls in the air today are not going to go very far unless you really drive it. Holt is there to put it away.
Take a look at the Red Sox defense behind Buchholz this afternoon on this cool sunshine day. It's Holtz out in center field. Of course, we got Ramirez over in left field, Holt in center. Nava filling in for Victorino in right field. Victorino crashed into the right field wall trying to flag down a Caleb Joseph home run. Bogarts and Pedroia up the middle. Sandoval, Napoli. And, of course, Hannigan behind the plate. Big 2-run home run in yesterday's ballgame.
Steve Pearce trying to get it going again after the good start that he had. Pearce has not had a hit in his last 12 times to the plate, including an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. 30-year-old right-hander. Buchholz delivers to him. That one's going to be a base hit. That'll be played by Ramirez in left field, and Pearce is on. That takes care of the 0-fer. And the Orioles hope that's going to be the beginning of another hot streak for him.
Yeah, Steve Pearce, when he gets hot, he can get red hot and really kind of carry a team. We saw that last season here. Gets the elevated fastball down the middle of the plate, stays on top of it nicely. And that's a nice confident swing right there.
Chris Davis gets moved up into the number 3 spot, and Adam Jones will hit cleanup. Now, these are the 2 guys who have roughed up Buchholz for their careers. Davis is 6 for 19 with 2 home runs, and Adam is 6 for 29 with 2 home runs. And they bat 3-4 in the lineup today. Chris would normally be in that 4 hole, but Buck again looking to get what he thinks are the best hitters in a particular matchup into those top 3 spots.
Yeah, the guys with success, the guys have been able to get on base against Buchholz because that's what really rattles him. Now, this is a quality pitcher. He's got a full arsenal. He's not afraid to mix it up throughout the ball game, but when you get runners on base, he tends to stress a little bit. He gets that runner in his mind, especially if you start messing with him, jumping around, get a stolen base. It's going to really throw his game plan off.
Boy, Mike, the numbers show that. With the bases empty, teams hit 236 against him. When somebody's on, it jumps to 322. An enormous difference. Delivery on the way to Davis. That's going to be down low and may have hit the plate on the way by. Shift is on. They have to stay at double play depth here, of course. Chris had a 1 for 3 in the ball game last night. Orioles heartbreaking loss, 3-2 the final. Orioles are now 2-2, 4 one-run ball games already played this year. Red Sox are 3-0 in one-run games on the season. Buchholz, 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. Pearce, just a regular lead over there, not very far off the bag.
And that regular lead, but still in the head of Buchholz. You see it? He takes his time. He really tries to concentrate. He varies his holds. He really pays too much attention, I think, to the base runners and loses command of his pitches and tends to get hurt.
Davis hopes for that, and a swing and a miss on a pitch riding in on him that time, and a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Now they'll shift the defense again.
This is a cut fastball. Take a look at the Nissan pitch track. That ball takes off in under the hands of Chris Davis. Two-seam fastball. He can put it up in the low 90s, 93 miles an hour. Four-seamer about the same way. And then the cut fastball riding in under the hands there. All pretty much the same velocity, just a little different movement.
What a defensive alignment. Sandoval's almost playing first base. Swing and a miss, got him to chase. So Buchholz gets the strikeout, and there are 2 down.
Hard in, soft away. Good look at the changeup right here. Look at this fade action. That worked itself about a foot off the plate. Good location. Davis sees it well, almost in his swing path, but tailing off the plate.
So the strikeout, 2 down. Now the infield goes back with Adam Jones coming up. Adams got a 7-game hit streak. He continued it last night, a 1-for-4 in the ball game, and as I said, he is 6 for 29 with 2 home runs lifetime off Clay Buchholz. Buchholz against the Orioles, 0-1 last year, 9-4 lifetime record against the Orioles. And inside, Mike mentioned the 2 dichotomous starts he's made. He beat Philadelphia, no runs, 3 hits in 7 innings, and then the Yankees just hammered him for 10 runs on 9 hits and 3 1/3 innings. That was a career high 10 runs surrendered in that last start by Buchholz. So what they get out of him today is they're just kind of looking, going, wonder how this is going to go. 1-0 count. Pierce on at first base. Jones will take it. That's going to be a base hit into right field. Pierce off on the charge will head over to third. Nava will get it back in, and Adam continues hot. 8-game hit streak for him now. First and third, 2 down.
Boy, that's a real nice piece of hitting by Adam Jones, keeping the hands inside, shooting the fastball the other way. Hannigan setting up in, wanting him to move his feet, make him uncomfortable in the box. But Adam Jones, a very solid approach, sees the ball well. Nice swing, keep that bat head through the zone, pick up a big hit, and Steve Pierce hustling on into third base.
Well, you talk about getting into the swing of things in a hurry. Here is Jimmy Paredes, just called up. Got to the ball club this morning to take Jonathan Scope's place. He's the designated hitter in the ball game today, and Paredes will get his first at bat as he was on the DL with that bat back sent down. First and third, chance to do some damage right here. Takes the pitch, first strike. So here's the roster move that was made. Jonathan Scope, DL, sprained knee. Paredes up. You see in Bowie just the 1-for-4 and an RBI. So really hasn't had a lot of at bats. It's been a while, and he's got to get himself back into game shape here with the Orioles. Well,
Paredes can swing it, and he came up with some big hits obviously last year for the Orioles. Had a great spring training, and I'm looking for him to make an impact in this ball game. I think once a hitter, always a hitter, and it's not going to take long for Paredes to get back in. And I'm surprised he took that first pitch. He's really aggressive early in counts and makes mistakes, understanding the pitchers try to get ahead, and that's when he makes hay.
Pierce on at third base, Jones on at first. Buchholz with 2 down. Here's the 0-1 delivery to him. Shattered the bat on that one. Napoli will go to second base. He'll get the force out, take the out there to end the inning. So no runs on a couple of hits, no errors. 2 are left on base. It will be Tillman to the mound for the Oakland. or better on this season. Let's take a look at the lineup. Red Sox have for today Holt, Pedroia, and Ortiz, Ramirez, Sandoval, and Napoli. Nava, the late insert there, as Mike told you, with Victorino out with the sore ribs. Bogarts and Hannigan. Dustin Pedroia, lifetime against the Orioles. Yikes.
Big numbers there for Pedroia. But let's take a look at Chris Tillman's pitch arsenal this season. The fastball 60% of the time. Breaking ball, that big curveball. When he's on with that, he can be one of the best right-handers in the game. And the changeup 10% of the time. He loves to use it off the fastball. Be a really good pitch as well. 2 starts this year and a tale of 2 starts. Had a great first start, 6 2/3 against Tampa, and then his last start just lasting 2 2/3, and that really bumped that earned run average up 7.71 rate now. He gave up 7 earned runs in his last start, so he's looking to bounce back as well.
Brock Holt is in the leadoff spot. He did not play in the ballgame last night. 4-game hit streak for him. He's got good speed. Tillman is in there with a strike. He'll draw Manny Machado in at third base. Holt, Pedroia, and Ortiz for the Red Sox, who are 7-3, on top by a game and a half in the American League East. The Orioles 5-5, 2 games out. Holt fouls that one straight back. Buck Showalter, when we were talking before the game of the cage today, said keep an eye on these fastballs. He says it is so dry and so cold out there, it's going to be real hard for pitchers to get a grip on, and if they can control the fastball today, he said it's going to take a real effort. That ball is really slippery because of the weather here today, so we'll see how that works out for these two. No problem with that one. Holt goes down swinging, one away.
Yeah, good fastball right there from Chris Tillman, the top of the zone, 91 miles an hour to get Holt, red hot hitter for the Red Sox. Take a look at it here, getting on top, good down angle, and it's got a little extra life at the top of the zone. Get Holt to swing right through it. Big first out. Keeping that pitch count down early here.
Good way to start. Here is Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia off to a good start. Tillman, he's 10 for 35 off the Orioles right-hander. And a 1-0 count on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Tillman working in a hurry. The changed windup that he uses from years past. Very little motion on it, almost a set position that he works from.
Yeah, very abbreviated and efficient, and it's to eliminate a lot of the extra movement. Tillman, a big guy, you get extra body parts going around. It's hard to repeat that delivery, so it's cleaned it up.
Went around on that one. Pedroia, home plate umpire Jerry Meals, the call.
Real nice breaking ball right there. Tight finish at the end. Looks like it's just going to be a cripple hanging up there, but bites down to Pedroia to chase for second strike. Tillman in his first 2 starts, it was command. That was, I think, the biggest issue with him, able to command that fastball.
That'll go to second base. Ryan Flaherty is there. He'll hustle that one over and get the up. And Pedroia is retired. And there. Take a look regarding Tillman in our Jeep Inside the Numbers ERA.
Lowest career earned run average against the Red Sox since 1969. There's Tillman on that list. A pretty good group of names. Gaylord Perry at the top. Tillman at 2.69. Cuellar, Wegman, of course, Jim Palmer on that list as well. And another thing that separates Tillman, not just the overall success, but pitching here at Fenway Park. He's on that star-studded list as well with an earned run average of 2.68. And this is not an easy place to pitch.
This is the 8th career start he has had here at Fenway. His record is 3-1 to go with that 2.68 mark in his career. He too has gotten a couple of quick outs. Here's Ortiz. The 1-0 delivery to him, and the DH will take it for his strike. Ortiz 0 for 3 in the ball game last night against Tillman. 3 for 27 with 1 home run. So Tillman's done a really good job holding David Ortiz down. Orioles with that big shift with Flaherty in right field. Ortiz will take that. That one he is going to miss.
Take a look at David Ortiz's numbers in his career against the O's. Pretty impressive. First with doubles, 49. Walks first, runs, home runs second, RBIs second. Now, he's put up Hall of Fame type numbers from the offensive side of things. And I think the numbers are pretty good with everybody he faces, but particularly good against the Orioles. Those are some huge numbers.
3 ball, 1 strike count on him. Tillman being careful. That ball's going to go the other way. It'll be to the monster. It'll hit the 10, ricochet off. Deaza will come up with it, going into second base. Ortiz, and got him! What a throw by Alejandro Deaza! That took a perfect throw. Ortiz was right to try for the double on that, but Diaz put it right into the glove, and that will end the inning. So you'll get a single and thrown out at second base trying to extend it. What a play.
That was a beautiful play by Diaz, and David Ortiz thinking the ball is too far to his right to have a chance of throwing him out. Diaz plays the Green Monster so well. Big third out right there.
Only had to face 3 in the inning. There's the out. Snow from Aspen Hill. Snow from Aspen. I mean, you couldn't make that up if you tried. Hey, Robert, you won $500 for being selected. You get $500 more for every Orioles home run hit today. Play baseball bucks scratch-offs. Win up to $50,000 or enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball. No snow here in Boston still. Diaz with that great play. But you don't have to go very far. Go up to Vermont, the hills. They're still skiing. Manny Machado will lead it off. Machado an 0 for 4 in the ballgame last night. 2 for 5 lifetime off Buchholz. Goes after the first one, hits the plate. Sandoval's trying to cut it off, does. For a guy his size, and he's big, he's got some flexibility and some pretty good movement.
Well, really athletic for a big guy. I mean, you got to have good feet to play the infield. He's done it for a number of years now. So has the special hands, but a good jump getting to this ball. You see him get down in that low crouch position. Pretty aggressive to get to it. Fine play, good transfer, glove to hand. Strong throw over there.
Sandoval made some nice plays in the ballgame last night in the opener of this series. Here's Caleb Joseph, a 4-game hit streak. Home run last night down by the pesky pole the other way in right field. 1 for 3. Buchholz's pitch there. Take a look at our Who's Hot, Who's Not. Brought to you by American Standard. Celebrate the season with the American Standard All-Star event. Visit midatlanticcomfort.com for amazing rebate and financing opportunities.
Yeah, Caleb Joseph hot, a 4-game hitting streak, 8 for 14. Hit that home run last night, a triple, 3 RBIs as well. Hanley Ramirez last 4. He has been scuffling. We're waiting for that bat to heat up. Help this Red Sox lineup.
And it was the home run with Shane Victorino playing in right field last night that caused the bruised ribs that took Victorino out of the lineup today. Victorino was supposed to start in right, tried it during BP, and just didn't feel well enough to stay in the lineup. Joseph on a swing and a miss. Ball went down the line in right field, and Victorino went right over to the stands. He hit the stands hard. They're right at rib height down that line, and didn't make the catch. Ball ended up in the first row of the seats, and he ended up with bruised ribs, and Joseph with a home run. 1 ball, 2 strike count. First time Caleb has faced Clay Buchholz. He'll go the other way again. Just missed. Almost over the bag.
You see how Buchholz is working with the fastball. He's thrown the 2 seamers that run in. He's gotten some wood already early in this ball game. He's cutting his fastball. That one a 4-seamer just off the plate away. Nice job by Caleb to fight it off. Take a look at the Nissan pitch track. Working that outer third to Caleb.
Here's the 1-2 delivery to Joseph at a swing and a miss on that pitch down and away. He's thrown a couple of those successfully so far. 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, real good breaking ball here. One of his better put away pitches down in the dirt. Has the ability to throw it for strikes and then goes for the swing and misses with the pitch. He's kind of put the split finger aside, and I think he's using that breaking ball as his big out pitch.
We mentioned last night for Buchholz, this is a I'm sorry game. In that last game he pitched and was hit so hard with the Yankees, he did not perform either pitching wise or with his duties on the mound. He didn't back up a couple of times, just seemed to forget, got unfocused. And he said to the Red Sox fans and his own teammates after the game, he said, I'm sorry, literally in those words. Just didn't feel as though he did what he should be doing as a pitcher, and said there's no excuse for that. So this is kind of a makeup game, if you will, for him with his teammates and fans. Brian Flaherty getting the start with Scope out at second base. Ground ball to the middle, and he's got another base hit. He loves playing the Red Sox. He's 4 for 13 now off Buchholz, and the Orioles get their 3rd hit.
Yeah, back home in New England, Ryan Flaherty from Maine. Always a lot of family and friends down to watch him play, and he does not disappoint. Always has good series when he comes to Fenway here, chopping one up the middle over Buchholz's head. Looking for a little 2-out lightning here to get on the board.
So the Orioles get a man on with 2 down. Ryan Flaherty here at Fenway came in as a .367 hitter in this ballpark. There are 2 away, and here is Cabrera. Sandoval will move in at 3rd. Cabrera, 4-game hit streak. He went 1 for 3 in the ball game last night, and here you see a throw over to first base and a guy who wouldn't steal if you told him he could have it.
Well, you know, Buchholz is a veteran pitcher now, the longest tenured pitcher for the Red Sox. Okay, so he's seen the Orioles and the fact that they don't steal. They typically do not steal, and wasting a little bit of time and a little mental effort, I think, concerning himself with base runners. He's getting good movement on his fastball. I just stick to pounding the strike zone. Get that movement, not a lot of serious contact here early on.
Got the strike in with 2 down on Cabrera. Sandoval at 3rd base, about 3 steps in on the grass. Pitch will be there for a strike. In the 2 games pitched by Buchholz so far, the left-handers hitting .250 with 2 home runs. He only had at-bats by 4 right-handers in the first 2 games. They were 2 for 4 right-handers. That's pretty amazing. You'll see a lot more right-handers here in this lineup here in his 3rd start. 0-2 count, Flaherty at first. Buchholz uses the long set. Cabrera towards second base. Pedroia. He'll make the play, and that'll retire to the side. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left to go to the bottom of the 6th. In this ball game, brought to you by Miller. Chris Tillman is working on the extra day's rest today, 5 days rest instead of 4. In his career, he's had 25 starts on 5 days rest. His record is 12-8 in those starts with a 4.41 ERA, and that's only slightly higher than what his career ERA is on 4 days rest of 4.11. So not much difference, and he's been pretty successful on the extra day.
Yeah, I think so. I think all pitchers really don't mind that, having the extra day. But I think Chris Tillman enjoys the routine, pitching every 5th day, able to go through his work week the right way, and counts on that routine. But he's a professional. He won't let even the extra day affect him. And I think it's good to get an extra day, especially coming out of spring training. A couple up and down starts, real good first start, and then of course that last start he got roughed up a little bit. An extra day, regroup. He's plenty strong enough right now. Looking for a good start here.
Ramirez leading it off 0 for 3 in the ball game, facing Tillman for the first time. That one will bounce off the plate. And a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Hanley Ramirez, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. Good production start for him with that .256 batting average to go with it. Outfield deep, straight away, wind blowing in, and that one will come inside for a ball. Getting used to playing that outfield in left, signed to a 4-year deal. First 10 years in the majors. Played only in the infield, shortstop, third base, and now out in left field. 2-1 delivery on the way, and he'll hit that hard to second. Flaherty right in front of it. And that will retire Ramirez. First out here in the second inning.
Nice play right there by Ryan Flaherty. That's a bullet off the bat of Ramirez. Gets in front of it. Makes it look rather routine.
One down. Here is Sandoval. Switch hitter. 1 for 2. And igniting all the controversy last night when he got hit by that pitch and caused the Orioles starter, Baldo Jimenez, to be thrown out. Pitch will be away for a ball. 1 for 3 lifetime off Tillman. Tillman's delivery in the air to left field. Pretty good wood. That's way back into the corner. Chased and caught. Oh, what a play by De Aza. That's the wind. He thought that ball was going to come off the Green Monster, and he was getting ready to play the rebound. Instead, the wind held it up and blew it over towards the wall, and he got there and made the catch.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Great concentration. Off the bat, he's trying to position himself for potentially playing it off that Green Monster, but does not give up on the baseball, and ends up making a fabulous play down in the corner, taking a big hit away from Sandoval.
Sandoval, the second out of the inning. We welcome those of you joining us watching the Philly 5-3 win over the Nats. Bonus coverage here on Masson. Gary Thorne and Mike Bordick, Fenway Park, no score. We are in the second inning. 2 down. Chris Tillman on the mound for the Orioles. Clay Buchholz for the Red Sox. And Napoli comes to the plate. Napoli with a big home run cut right there. Napoli 6 for 22. Lifetime off Chris Tillman. In the ball game last night, ended up with that big walk in the 9th inning and came around to score the game-winning run on Bogart's base hit in the bottom of the 9th. Napoli had an 0 for 3 in the game.
Well, Napoli, veteran hitter, will certainly get the bat going. Off to a slow start right now, but you can tell that he's a veteran hitter because he is still taking his walks. That big walk in last night's ball game, he's got a little stretch going of scoring consecutive runs.
Cabrera's got it at short over to first base, and that will retire the side. So only 6 base through 2 by Tillman, no score. LifeBridge Health Partner. For locations, visit whywaitintheer.com.
Take a look at the biggest jump in earned run average from one season to the next since 1913. Well, Buchholz is on that list. Take a look in 2013, 1.74 earned run average. The next year, 5.34. Now, sometimes you can't explain it. There might be injuries that lead to the big jumps in the earned run average. In 2013, Buchholz was 9-0 going into June, and then he had a neck strain. Well, he came back. They ended up winning the World Series, had a very strong year, but the next year could not rebound. First 2 months of the season in 2014, a 7.0 earned run average. He had to work that down to that 5.34, but 2 different years, and really kind of inexplicable how that happens to pitchers at times.
Here is Alejandro De Aza, flied out to center field his first time up. And for Buchholz, the real problems are right here in this ballpark. Last year, he went 3-7 at Fenway with an ERA of 6.6, which is double his career ERA in this ballpark. Again, why? Who knows? His record here at this ballpark overall is 30-21. But last year, for some reason, you're at Fenway. Of course, it's who you face, and who's pitching, and the team you're facing. But an extraordinary jump in problems here at Fenway for Buchholz. Alejandro De Aza with a 2-0 count. He will ground that one towards second. Pedroia. Pedroia's having a busy day. Hey, not too late to upgrade your summer with the Orioles partial season plan. Members enjoy exclusive ticket savings, Major League Baseball's great flexible exchange policy that the Orioles have, access to postseason tickets, and the orange carpet benefits. The 13-game plan still available. For details, go to Orioles.com/season. Steve Pearce got out of an 0 for 12 with a base hit in the first inning. Steve up with 1 down and nobody on. 1 for 4 now, lifetime against Clay Buchholz. Infield plays him to pull, and he'll foul that one right off the end of the bat.
You see that shadow out in front of home plate, makes it tough on hitters. Pick up the spin as it comes out of the sunlight and into the darkness. Buchholz taking advantage of that with his fastball. We talked about the different movement he has with his 3 different fastballs. Really hard to pick that up through the shadows.
Pierce waiting on it. Check swing, called strike. Not that he went around, but it was in the strike zone. And it goes to 0-2. Jerry Meals, the crew chief, has the plate today. Paul Emmels at first, Andy Fletcher at second. Jason Baker, the younger umpires, down at third. Here's the 0-2 delivery, and a swing and a miss. Boy, that pitch is working today.
And a nasty breaking ball once again, well located at the bottom of the zone. Look at the Nissan Pitch Track fastball, change up, and then the hard breaking ball down and away. Might be the shadows. It might be just a great sell with the breaking ball. He throws it hard and keeps it down.
He's got 3 strikeouts, all swinging. And that pitch has been dominant in those Ks. Chris Davis up, shift on. He's a strikeout victim. Got him in a pitch way away in the first. And the pitch skips off the plate for ball 1. Home run, 5 RBIs, 229 average. Chris trying to cut down on those strikeout numbers, which have started to pile up early. 16 strikeouts so far and 1 walk in the top 10 in Ks in the American League. Hits that hard and foul. This one hopper. And the ball girl down the line first. 1-1.
Yeah, that one he kind of got away with the breaking ball up in the zone. Stayed inside, and Chris Davis, really the only thing he could do was a hit to the ball girl.
One and one on Davis, with Jones waiting on deck. 2 down, nobody on. We started last night's game as a pitcher's duel. It ended up being one. He went around, foul tipped into the mitt. Didn't mean to. And the count goes to 1-2. Now here's the shift again. When he gets this 2-strike count, they move Sandoval over to second base and put Bogarts, a shortstop, back to the shortstop position. Pedroia playing out in shallow right field. That's even different than the last time around when Davis was up, because there was a runner on. 1-2 delivery on the way. That'll be in the dirt. The last time with a runner on, they put Sandoval in shallow right field, moved him way over, and kept Pedroia closer to second base.
In there for the double play.
Yeah, or the force out.
Yeah, the tag at second base. Yeah. Well, you try to keep players, even though there have been a lot of shifts, you try to keep players comfortable. Now, obviously, Pedroia and Bogart's turning the double play up the middle. Sandoval, when he's over there on that third base side with Chris Davis up early in the count, is protecting for the bunt. That's what he's familiar with.
Throttle back on that at 78. He's got 4 strikeouts. Davis twice, 1, 2, 3 innings for him. No score.
Alejandro De Aza in the first inning. Big Papi hitting one off the green monster, but he throws a strike to second to get that third out. And then first gear, second gear, third gear, makes a fine running play as he misjudges it early off the bat of Sandoval, thinking it's going to go off the wall. He's down with a big play right there, kind of shaking his head. I'm sure Wayne Kirby giving him a little grief from the dugout. A couple nice plays by De Aza in left field.
No score, and Tillman will be working to the bottom part of the order. Nava, Bogarts, and Hannigan are due up for the Red Sox. So we'll see whether or not the tradition holds true in this game. Here you've got the guy who wasn't supposed to play. Victorino was supposed to be in this slot in right field. Nava gets inserted after batting practice on the late change. How many times have we seen that player who's not expected to go in a ball game have a big game? Pitch to him will be taken for a ball up high. Through the first couple of starts for Tillman, left-handers hit .333 and right-handers .300. 3 home runs, 2 of those by right-handers. 1-0 delivery. That'll catch the corner inside, taken all the way by Nava. 1-1.
Yeah, good pitch there, and nice to see Caleb working in and out with that fastball. And here in the early going, Tillman showing great confidence with that pitch. The first 2 starts had trouble with the command of that fastball. Ended up with 3 walks in each game, and now settling in, showing the good command.
That's a strike in the outside corner. Nava tough on right-handers in his career, .294 career average against right-handers. This will be the 5th start he's made this year, 4 of those in right field and 1 in left for the Red Sox. Nava with a 1-ball 2-strike count, shift on against it. And he will foul that one back off the fists and out of play. Stays at 1-2.
Trying to get that fastball in there on Nava. Kind of leaked back over a little bit, and Nava, good job keep the at bat alive. The Nissan pitch track, all fastballs up in the zone with the second pitch and the last pitch inside. Trying to jam it in there, maybe in off the plate to move his feet a little bit.
Nava 8 for 31 lifetime off Chris Tillman. A lot of these veteran Red Sox players, plenty of at-bats against Tillman since it is Chris's 17th start against the Red Sox. 2-ball 2-strike count. And that one is going to miss outside. And the count will go to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Nava's always been a problem for the Orioles. He's a career .307 hitter against the O's. He's picked up 5 long balls. He's had some big hits in his seasons against Baltimore. Into the shift. Ryan Flaherty from right field. And Nava's retired. One away, 3rd inning.
Nice job by Chris Tillman right there. Ground ball. Take a look at him. The Road Warrior last season. At home, 5-5 record with a nice low earned run average of 2.54. But check it out on the road. 8 wins to the 1 loss. 4.31 earned run average. Found a way to do it at the 70 punch-outs, 33 walks. There's this season on the road, the 1-0 record, 6 2/3. That was opening up down in Tampa. So loves pitching on the road. A lot of success.
Bogaerts game-winning RBI in the ball game, 9th inning last night, and he will take the pitch inside. Bogaerts a couple of hits, 14 at bats against Tillman, one of those a home run. Hot hitter. He's had 11 hits in his last 23 at bats. 1-0 pitch to him for Bogaerts, his first game-winning RBI in his major league career, coming last night.
Yeah, tough luck. Tommy Hunter, a breaking ball that broke the bat and just found some outfield grass for that big game-winning hit. And Tommy, it seems like this year in the early going, one of the tough luck pitchers, just making good pitches, but some hits, finding some holes.
Count here goes to 3-0. Hannigan, the catcher, batting 9th, waiting on deck, and that's not close. So Tillman surrenders the walk. That is the first walk of the ball game. Take a look at our PNC minor league report. Buck Showalter has been talking about the pitching, especially at Norfolk.
Yeah, it has been outstanding actually throughout the organization. A lot of success top to bottom, but here in Norfolk, starting pitching has been outstanding. 26 in the 3rd innings, just 4 earned runs, that totaling a 1.37 earned run average. Gamboa, Wilson, Mike Wright, TJ McFarland, and Zach Davies, all names that we talked about in spring training. Of course, everybody familiar with McFarland here at the big league level, but Gamboa, the knuckleballer, pitching very well, and some young arms. Davies doing well, so a lot to be excited about. A lot of those guys homegrown players as well, pitching in AAA.
Boston has drawn more walks than any other team in the American League. Bogart gets one here. And now Hannigan up. Hannigan a 1 for 3 in the ball game last night. Bogart's good speed over there at first base. And a swing and a foul tip into the mitt. Red Sox pitchers of the 15 teams in the American League have surrendered the 12th most free passes coming into the game. That will get you in trouble, and it has for the Orioles. In fact, it was the walk in the ball game last night, bottom of the 9th inning that Napoli got, that resulted in the run that ultimately won the ball game. Hannigan 0-2 count. Not a big lead at first for Bogart. Tillman's delivery, and then it'll be fouled back late on the cut.
We saw this in yesterday's ball game, and Kevin Gausman pumping some fastballs in there. Hannigan was late on all of them, fouling them off, and tried to mix it up and dropped a slider in there that unfortunately didn't get to the spot. Hannigan knocked it over the green monster. See if Tillman, if he throws the off-speed pitch, see if he executes down in the zone. He's thrown some good breaking balls down in the early going of this ball game, so he's going to stick with the heater.
0-2 the count. Bogart's not going anywhere. Again, foul back. Of course, as we mentioned, when Tillman's on the mound, nobody steals. Nobody's even tried this year. Again, 2 years, 2 stolen bases, and only 13 attempts against him in 2+ years now, which is an amazingly low number in the attempts department. He just is quick to the plate. That's why Bogaerts isn't far off first.
Well, he's done a lot of things to help himself have success.
Got him slowed up on that one at 75. Had him leaning and looking.
Well, you're going to throw Hannigan a breaking ball, it better be a nasty one. And this is ridiculous. Almost a double break. It holds it, and boom, it's gone down on that outside corner. Great breaking ball after seeing 4 fastballs. Boy, he can spin it as well as anyone, and that is a perfect pitch. Joseph receives it well. That's second out.
We'll bring Brock Holt to the plate. Holt, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Red Sox have stolen some bases. Bogart's 2 for 2 in that department. And a strike taken on the outside corner. We are scoreless, bottom of the 3rd inning. Tigers, who are off to a great start, got hammered today by the White Sox, who beat them by a score of 12-3. The White Sox had not been playing particularly good baseball after some pretty high expectations preseason. 0-1 delivery, and that one's going to miss outside. Tigers now 9-2, breaking a 3-game win streak they had going, while the White Sox, who are in last place in the Central, go 4-6. They had lost 2 in a row. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Rockholt waits on it. Pitch will be outside.
That's all right, doubling up with the breaking ball right there. Looks like he's got a pretty good feel for that pitch. Of course, Holt, you have to mix your pitches up, and that's what he's trying to do right now. Holt, a very dangerous hitter, has had some success in his early part of his career, and off to a good start here this season.
That one will be down the line and will end up going into the seats. One of the problems pitching against the Red Sox for any pitcher is trying to remain efficient. Again, the Red Sox, they've seen more pitches so far than any other team. That's not unusual. Did the same thing last year. They average about 4.2 pitches per plate appearance. It's not that their entire lineup doesn't go up there swinging early. There are 3 or 4 guys on the team that do, but predominantly their starters are wait and see hitters. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that one's going to be foul back. Here we go again with what we mentioned before, foul balls off Oriole pitchers.
Right.
Amazing. It fascinates Buck Showalter, and he's right. The O's pitching staff, there have been 6 so far in the ball game. The O's starters, more foul balls off them than anybody else. Chris Tillman is 5th most of the O's pitchers, so he's pretty decent in that department. But the O's staff as a whole has more foul balls hit against them than anybody else, and nobody knows why.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can really kind of speculate and say, okay, well, a lot of guys don't have an out pitch, but they get their strikeouts when they need to. It's just a matter of maybe executing, working the perimeter of the plate, and the major league hitters know how to foul pitches off and keep the bats alive.
3-2, Davis behind the runner at first, and that will be fouled away too. And the count will stay 3-2. Coming back will be Bogarts to first base, off and running with 2 down.
Yeah, this is one of the advantages when you talk about controlling a running game. Well, here, even on the 3-2 count, he can get off there because Davis is playing behind him, but Tillman's still so quick to the plate. End up paying dividends at maybe third base or home if Holt gets a base hit. It helps the outfielders get that step on the base runner, potentially throw them out.
Hey, a foul ball off the upper deck facade, and back goes Bogarts. 9th pitch of this at bat coming up to Holt in that leadoff spot. 3 for 6 lifetime off Tillman. One of the reasons he's leading off in the ball game and in the lineup today.
So I was trying to work on a lot of pitches up and away. Caleb trying to set up in, maybe surprise him.
3-2, that's headed to the middle. That's going to be a base hit. Bogarts is running. He's over to third. Jones will get it back in a hurry to hold him at third. Quality at bat right there by Holt. He worked him for 9 pitches and ends up with a single. 2 down, first and third.
Yeah, really a great at bat. Fouling off the tough pitches away, and here Tillman just cuts it, but it hangs in the middle of the plate. It's enough for Holt to get a good part of the bat on. Shoots it up the middle, not trying to do too much with it. Bogart's cruising on in at third base.
That'll be hit number 2. Ortiz had the other base hit first inning. First and third, 2 down. Here's Pedroia. Grounded out his first time up. Pedroia started the year with a 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And he'll take that one down the line. That is a foul ball at third. Last night the Red Sox were 1 for 5 in these situations. The Orioles were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position last night. It's just a tough night to score runs for both ball clubs.
It really was. I mean, some good pitching, good defense. minimize those opportunities, and really neither team could capitalize when runners got on base. The pitchers did a good job rolling up the double play balls when they needed.
And he got him to chase one outside. Almost taking off was Holt, but he decided the better of it and came back to first base.
Take a look at another little cutter right here, and Caleb goes down and away to block it. Holt bouncing off, but you see Caleb bouncing up to retrieve that ball in a hurry to shut him down a little bit. Take a look at the movement. Caleb turning that glove over. Keeping it close enough.
0-2 count. Tillman looking for that out. Pedroia will take the pitch up and away. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Again, to get the feeling the way this ball game has started that there won't be a whole lot of runs scored. These two pitchers, both Tillman and Buchholz, pretty effective.
Yeah, it seems like both of them, when they start settling into a ball game, they cruise through and actually get better.
That's a slow roller. It's going to take a tough play. Manny Machado reaching, and he got him. Machado makes the play on Pedroia to end the inning and save a run. No runs on 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left on base, 3 complete here at Fenway. Game 2 of this 4-game set is scoreless. The season, Mike Trout becoming the youngest player to have 100 home runs and steal 100 bases, just besting the record that had been held by Alex Rodriguez. The Giants' 3-9 record for the World Series champions is the worst start in San Francisco history. Chris Bryant getting his debut, 0 for 4, 3 Ks for the Cubs. They lost to the Padres by a score of 5-4, but certainly looks as though along the way he may make some history. And welcome to the major leagues.
Yeah, he had a great spring, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And ended up being kind of controversial. Everybody thought he should have made the team, and Cubs were saying, hey,
we're not going to pay that much money. And what they did was they waited in 1 day beyond the arbitration, the issue of free agency. So they have him for an extra year without having to go to free agency. That's the way it's done in baseball. Hey, those are the rules.
Right. You try to control your players as long as you can.
Here is Adam Jones. Buchholz delivers to him, and that's a nub down the first base side. Adam picked up a base hit first inning. He's got an 8-game hit streak. Through 3, Orioles have no runs on 3 hits. The Red Sox no runs on 2 hits. Pierce has had a base hit, Flaherty a base hit, and the same for Adam Jones. Holt a single, and Ortiz a single, the only hits for the Red Sox. Buchholz just barely in the sun as sunset time approaches in Boston. That one up and riding in a little bit, fouled off the other way 0-2.
Yeah, coming into this series, 2 powerhouse offenses, at least to start this season, where the Red Sox were averaging over 6 runs a game and the Orioles over 5 runs a game. So you expected a lot of thunder, but pitching shutting them down in the first game, and here much the same, as both Buchholz and Tillman are bouncing back really well from their last starts.
Buchholz with the 0-2 delivery. Adam looked at it. It bounced. Coming into the game offensively, the Orioles are ranked 4th in average and 7th in runs. Orioles continue to lead in home runs, tied for first with 16. The Red Sox, they are 5th in average but 2nd in runs, averaging 5.9 a game. The Orioles 1 run less than the Red Sox. Red Sox 5th in homers. That's going to be another base hit. Well, he got one where Adam could get the timing down on it, so Jones is 2 for 2, and the Orioles get the leadoff man on for the first time in the ballgame. When the Orioles win, everyone wins, and when the Orioles win and score 5 or more runs, you get 50% off regular menu price online orders at papajohns.com by entering promo code Orioles5. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, valid at participating Baltimore area. Papa John's.
Jones over there with the big smile, staying red hot. Make mistakes with breaking balls. If they're really anywhere over the plate, he's going to be able to hit them. And typically, he hits them hard. You see him swing at the breaking balls off the plate. On the plate, pitchers are in trouble.
16 hits on the year for Adam. That leads the Orioles. Brady's up. Fielder's choice. Recall with Jonathan Schoop going down with the knee injury on the DL. Schoop will be probably leaving as early as tomorrow to go to Sarasota. They begin getting treatment. No operation necessary, but will be a rehab. Popped it up first base side, way up in the air. Napoli is over and ran out of room, about a glove length away in the dugout.
Yeah, tough kind of fighting. The sun had appeared on the way over there to the ball. The wind blowing it a little bit. He could never really get underneath the baseball. Just kept drifting with it. Ball takes him almost right into the dugout. The ball ended up.
Can lean over and make the catch. Can't go in the dugout anymore. Used to be able to actually go in the dugout and make a catch, but that is illegal. Too dangerous. 0-1 count. Jimmy Paredes getting an opportunity. Be with the ball club now. Not a big lead at first base. Buck Showalter told me an interesting story on Paredes. He said when Paredes had to go on the DL, and Buck had to tell him that Paredes came into the office, and Buck told him, and Paredes said, "I have one question." And Buck said, "What's that?" "Did I make the ball club?" Interesting question. And Buck said, "Jimmy, yes, you did." And what he meant was, but for the injury,
right,
you would have been on the team. And the reason Paredes wanted to know is he had never made an opening day roster.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
I didn't either.
Huh.
And he wanted to know he'd made an opening day roster, but for the injury.
Well, that's good for him.
Somebody who cares. Throw over, a little bit off the mark. 1 ball, 1 strike count.
Brady's came into spring training with it seemed like the idea of making the club out of spring training, because he had a tremendous spring, swinging it both from left and right, improved his defense all over the infield. So he was in that lineup.
Gets the cut, fouls it off. The tough thing, I was looking for Jonathan Schoop. I mean, it's just tough because he had a position he was going to play. But the improvement he had made, last year he was 4th in home runs by second baseman in the majors. But a lot of strikeouts. He had the lowest batting average, lowest on base percentage of any of the full-time players at second base. This year he had dramatically changed his swinging at pitches outside the strike zone. He had dropped it down to 23%, a 50% reduction from last year in swinging at pitches not in the strike zone. So he really was coming. I mean, it was where Buck Showalter said today, that's the player I wanted to see, was the Jonathan Schoop I was seeing in the field. And now, this injury, he's going to have to start that process all over again when he comes back.
Yeah, well, I guess the good news is the players around him won't change, and I think they'll still keep him on top of his game. Jonathan Schoop is working really well with new hitting coach Scott Coolbaugh, so they have a great relationship, and I don't think it'll take much for Jonathan to get back into that good groove where he's seeing the ball well and not chasing out of the zone. And it's just a matter of experience for him. And it is nice to see that he's really taken hold of that and has more plate discipline, because he is going to do some pretty special things with the bat. He's already doing special things with his glove. That was a look at new hitting coach Scott Coolbaugh.
You see again Buchholz with all that concern when a runner gets on. 2 ball, 2 strike count, runner not going, and the pitch will be inside. Brady's raising the arms up on it. So the count goes to 3-2. Now with nobody out, I'll let you manage here. Would you send Adam Jones?
Well, I personally would just try to put some heat on Buchholz. I think you can really rattle him if you put pressure on the bases, and this is a great time. You know, I mean, unfortunately, Paredes hasn't had a lot of at bats since his injury, so that might be something that Buck's thinking about. But put guys in motion, try to get this offense fired up, and put some more pressure on the defense and Buchholz.
See if Adam takes off here. 3-2. He's not going, and the ball will be fouled away. So Paredes hangs in. 44 pitches thrown by Buchholz so far in the ball game. 31 of them have been for strikes, so he's been in the strike zone. He hasn't walked anybody. He struck out 4. Chris Tillman a walk and a couple of strikeouts on the other side for the Orioles. Pitchers duel underway here, 4th inning. And a long at bat for Paredes, along with about 3 throws over to first base on Adam Jones, who has not extended his lead. There goes Jones. 3-2. That one down the line, curving to the corner. It's going to be a fair ball. Adam Jones stopped at second to see where the ball was. He's going to be stopped at third. Throw will come into the cutoff man, and a double. So Paredes delivers a 2-bagger, and the Orioles get 2 in scoring position with nobody out.
Boy, what a great at bat right there by Paredes. Sees a lot of pitches, works the count to 3-2, and then shoots one down that left field line. Adam Jones, a little hesitation at second base. Can't quite tell the distance between the ball and Ramirez, so has to hold up a little bit. If he kept on a cooking, probably would have scored easily, but here with no outs, why take that chance? Runners at second and third.
Orioles get their 5th hit of the ball game, and now Manny Machado grounded out his first time up. The infield will stay back. Scoreless ball game, 4th inning. Machado so far in the year, opportunities with runners in scoring position, 1 for 8. Orioles 0 for 1 today, 0 for 5 in the ball game last night. And a check swing that was a strike. Came in with the fastball on that one and located it well. Adam Jones on at third base, Paredes on at second.
And Manny off to kind of a slow start as well with the bat, so this is a great opportunity for him. Even if he doesn't get a base hit, there's a chance to push that run across the plate, a ground ball up the middle.
There it is. That'll get at least 1 in. Nice play. Bogarts throw, a 1-hopper that got him. Real good play by Bogarts, but that's getting the job done. Manny Machado will get the RBI, and the Orioles have a 1-0 lead. Paredes moves over to third.
Yeah, Manny probably frustrated about the fact that this ball didn't sneak through. Bogarts with a nice play. But okay, you got the run in and you move the runner over, so another scoring opportunity for the Orioles. Some good baseball right there by Manny. The Orioles take that early lead, and typically when the Orioles score first, they end up winning ball games. Yesterday, the first time this season when they haven't scored first, they win.
Now the infield is going to be drawn in with 1 down and Caleb Joseph up. Runner at third base. Joseph gets the base hit. Going after the first pitch, he will bring Paredes home, and the Orioles catcher continues to be one of the hot bats in the lineup. He now has a 5-game hit streak, and that is going to be his 4th RBI of the season. Paredes scoring.
Yeah, pretty nice swing here from Caleb. He's keeping his body nice and quiet, seeing the ball well, not trying to do too much, taking it right back through the middle. Good offensive outburst here for the Orioles offense.
So the Orioles take a 2-0 lead. The infield will back up, except for Sandoval, who's going to play in at third against Ryan Flaherty. Flaherty had a base hit his first time up. Joseph at first. Still only 1 away. Not quite sure why Sandoval's in at third base.
No, I mean, they bring him in there to protect for the bunt, but you know, Ryan Flaherty, I mean, he's shown bunt. Ryan's shown bunt. So just to take it away and get it in a hitter's head, I think but you want to give yourselves more of an opportunity, I think, defensively.
For a double play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sandoval will remain in, though. So the Orioles, 2 runs in, 3 hits in the inning, 6 hits in the ball game. Old country song, wasted days and wasted nights. These are wasted throws. But if mentally it makes him feel better, then that's what you do.
Yeah, I think that's really what it's all about. It doesn't really matter who's on first base. It's just that somebody's on first base. So in his mind, he feels like he has to control it to some degree.
0-1 delivery to Flaherty. That's going to be a base hit into left field. Joseph will go to second and stop Ramirez. And there again, that's against the shift. Ryan Flaherty's been working on that all spring. The shortstop Bogarts had moved over to second, and they put it right where he would have normally been.
Yeah, well, Ryan's been working on this for the past few years, and here he gets a pitch down and away, but you see the head position, staying on the baseball, not pulling off it at all, right down to the ball with the bat head and the eyes. Some a nice base hit going the other way. And you are absolutely right. He and Coolbaugh have been out there every day, it seems, working on trying to slap that ball the other way. He's off for him there.
Juan Nieves is the pitching coach for John Farrell, but sometimes the manager wants to go out and have a word. Buchholz, that's the 7th hit off him. He'd rolled along through the first 3 innings, giving up only 3 hits and no real scoring chances. And now the Orioles pushing him across here in the 4th inning. Now Cabrera coming up. Sandoval again will stay in at third base. Runners on at first and second. Cabrera grounded out his first time up. Still 1 away. And he'll hit that off the mask of Hannigan for a foul ball.
Nice aggressive swing right there. You got Buchholz kind of on the ropes right now. Tough inning for him. Cabrera, the aggressive cut in the high fastball, and makes a loud noise off Hannigan's mask.
Joseph on at second base and Flaherty at first. Cabrera 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position this year. Buchholz delivery to him. Again, rare and back at 91. And the 0-2 count on Cabrera. Orioles, of course, had the 2-0 lead in the ball game last night, only to see it disappear on the home run by Hannigan that tied it, and then lose at the bottom of the ninth. So they want to add some more here. Chance for a big inning, but the ground ball could get Buchholz out of it. Here's the 0-2 delivery on the way. That'll be up high.
The Orioles really put together some good at bats. Buchholz to start this season, his last start, I'd say the first inning is when he gave up 7 runs. So he is susceptible to that big inning, getting his head a little bit. And you can see here, runners on base, some problems have happened. The Orioles have had some good at bats. They want to keep this inning going and try to put the foot on his neck and put more runs across the plate. They were hard to come by in yesterday's game. Keep it rolling, pass the baton.
1-2 delivery by Buchholz, and that's going to be dropped. Kept in front, though, by Hannigan. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. And Buchholz struggling here this inning and piling up the pitches. 2 on and 1 away. Buchholz has had great success, as we said, with that record he's got against the Orioles at 9-4. It includes 3 of his 6 career shutouts have come against the Orioles. No hitter back in 07, second major league appearance for him against the Orioles. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Doesn't matter where the runners are, he's going to hold them close, isn't he?
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. Just and you'd think he would look at the numbers. The batting average against him with runners on base almost 100 points higher than when they're empty, and go, I got to stop this.
Yeah,
this ain't working. 2-ball, 2-strike count. And that pitch is going to miss, not by a lot, but it missed. And the count goes to 3-2.
Good pitcher's pitch, though, down and away with that fastball. And it seems like he's doing it all on his own. You know, jump moves, throwing to first base. See the Nissan pitch track. They're trying to work Cabrera away. Another good at bat here. He's put together some professional at-bats, really working pitchers, seeing a lot of pitches, and he can shorten up with 2 strikes, put the ball in play, keep action going.
And that's going to be up the middle for a base hit. The break by Joseph. He'll make the turn and stay. As getting it back in is Holt, who got to it in a hurry. So right straight up the middle goes Cabrera. He's got a base hit. That's the 5th hit of the inning for the Orioles.
Another nice at bat. This one catches more of the plate. Finally not on the edge here, and he shoots it right back through the box. Holt, infielder, look at him close on that ball, and that forces Bobby Dickerson to put the hands up and hold Caleb at third base, but more pressure on with the bases loaded and the top of the order coming back around.
So here is Alejandro De Aza. De Aza 0 for 2. He is flied out, grounded out. Sandoval will play even with the bag at third or a step in from that, giving him a little more room down that third base side. Bases loaded, 1 away. Rest of the infield double play depth. He did show a bunt. Takes the pitch away for a ball. Obviously a safety bunt if he meant it, or he may have just been taking a pitch.
Well, you got the right side of the infield with Pedroia and Napoli deep, so you could get a bunt down there. De Aza with good speed. It'll be tough to double him up anyway. With Cabrera at first, he's extending that lead with Napoli behind him. So he has good speed to get on the double play pivot at second. De Aza hustling out of the box from the left side.
He brought Sandoval in another 3 steps at third base with that bunt. Look, there's the off-speed delivery at 79, and didn't get a good cut at it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Took a change right there at the bottom of the zone. Back into the count.
Orioles with 2 runs in here in the 4th inning, threatening more as they've loaded them up on singles by Joseph Flaherty and Cabrera. Outfield's pretty deep on De Aza. Looking for a big hit to break this ball game open. Buck Holtz, the 1-1 delivery to him, and a swing and a miss. Real good location on that one.
He has thrown some nasty cutters to the lefties, 88 miles an hour, and it just takes off. It is all over the plate and disappears down and into De Aza. And to be able to throw a ball that hard and that kind of cut movement on it, it's pretty impressive. One to Chris Davis, and that a really good one to De Aza.
Big moment in the ball game here in the 4th inning. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and again throttle back, and we'll get the strikeout. That one at 80. So there's a big strikeout for the 2nd out of the inning.
Pitched him tough. De Aza in a big situation here, just a little over aggressive. A couple change-ups in this at bat. Try to take advantage of the aggressiveness. And indeed, he does get De Aza out in front.
So now Steve Pearce. Pearce has been in that number 2 spot for a number of games. He has singled and struck out. Runners in scoring position 0 for 6 on the year for him. There are 2 down. And Buchholz get out of this, giving up only 2. Pearce will take the pitch. It is outside for a ball. Steve has had a couple of home runs, 3 RBIs. Thinking about getting a couple in here and a base hit with 2 down. Of course, everybody will be moving.
I'd like to get another one of those fastballs over the heart of the plate.
And that ball heading to the seats. And there'll be no play on it.
Just enough movement on the cutter to get it off the bat head. See Steve Pearce's numbers with the bases loaded. Pretty good. 250 batting average, but no home runs. 17 RBI, though. Good number. He'd like to pick up a couple here with a base hit.
Looking for his first career grand slam. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Buchholz, he gets people on, really slows the pace down, watching those runners. Here's the 1-1 delivery. Pearce again, 79, comes back with another off-speed delivery, goes 1 and 2.
Yeah, he's making some pretty good pitches with that breaking ball today, and you can see not a lot of mistakes on the plate, working the edges here. Get the hitters to expand. At times Buchholz, that's hurt him in the past. He's been too fine. Really thinks too much. He tries to be too perfect.
1-2, 2 down. Delivery to Pierce. That'll be down low. Steve got a couple of home runs early in the series against Tampa Bay, picking up the last one on the 7th of this month against Nathan Carnes. Then he kind of cooled off and has not had the home run, nor had he had many hits, coming in with the 0 for 12 before he got the base hit in the first inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Big number right there. 64 pitches here. Still not out of the 4th inning, but 30 already here in this inning. So some good at bats. Jack that pitch count up.
2-2 delivery on the way, and Pierce will go down swinging. 6 strikeouts for Buchholz, so the Orioles will pick up a couple of runs here in the 4th inning and take a 2-0 lead. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Coons.com. When you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Gary Thorne and Mike Bordick here at Fenway Park in Boston. 4-game series. It'll be an afternoon game tomorrow. 1 o'clock goes extra, 1:30 for the game. And it'll be Miguel Gonzalez 1-1 against Rick Porcello 1-1. Then the Patriots Day game, the running of the marathon, the Boston Marathon, is Monday. The game will be at 11 o'clock, 10:30. Goes extra, 11 for the game. Wei-Yin Chen and Justin Masterson, the starters. Chen, no decision so far. Masterson 1-0. Tillman on the mound against Ortiz. Picked up a base hit, got thrown out, trying to make it a double as De Aza nailed him from left field. Ramirez and Sandoval will be due up. Couple of home runs, 3 RBIs, just a 194 batting average for the designated hitter who shows bunt. He's got that whole left side open. Takes a called strike, didn't like it. Stays down in a crouch for a long time, embarrassing the umpire, Jerry Meals. Even if you're David Ortiz, you might want to think twice when you do that to the creature.
Yeah, right. May have been a little bit off. See if Caleb Joseph tries to expand a little more out there.
That'll go up the middle. Right over the mound and a base hit. So Ortiz will get a leadoff single here in the 4th inning. For the Red Sox, that is the first leadoff man they've had on.
Staying on the breaking ball. Taking it right back up the middle. Almost got a piece of Tillman, almost got a piece of the Dace. Found its way to Adam Jones out in center field.
So that'll be hit number 3 for the Red Sox. All singles. Here's Ramirez. He grounded out his first time up, and now the dugout of the Red Sox hollering, and Jerry Meals is pointing over there. talking to somebody on the Red Sox bench. Hanley Ramirez. Pitch outside for a ball. Red Sox answered back in the ball game last night after the Orioles had gotten their second run in the 5th inning. Bottom half of the inning is when Hannigan had that home run. Tillman's delivery and a big cut by Ramirez. Good pitch, good location. 86 on that one, 1-1.
Yeah, nice job locating it at the bottom of the zone. You know, Ramirez is thinking about one thing, and that's wanting to tie this ball game up with one swing of the bat. Become a hero again here at Fenway Park. It's on the pitch track. Nothing around the plate. Try to get it expand a little bit. If he chases, chase again.
1-1 delivery on the way. Helmet off. Foul ball. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count. He isn't getting cheated on his swings.
No, he's not. Good two-seamer here, working in. See the ball off the foot, the helmet rolling down the back leg.
Ramirez has only had 38 at-bats here in this ballpark, a 189 average. Not many games played here at Fenway Park over his major league seasons. 1-2 the count. Ortiz almost on the bag at first. In the dirt. That's going to get Ortiz down to second base. That's not what Tillman wanted to have happen right there.
Well, Chris Tillman, nice feel for the breaking ball. It seems today he's been able to locate the fastball, but the change hasn't been very consistent. Bouncing that one, kicking away from Caleb Joseph, and Ortiz walking into second base.
Tillman's first wild pitch of the season. He had 8 wild pitches last year. 0 for 1 for the Red Sox with runners in scoring position so far. Now Ramirez a chance. No, just buried that one right at the knees, and he couldn't catch up to it and gets the strikeout.
Pitch here, more location down in the zone. There might have been a little bit of movement on this cut fastball. So Caleb wanting it on the outside corner. Stays in the middle plate, but it's down in the zone. Hanley getting 3 swings to try to hit one over the monster. Didn't get cheated on any one of them. Missing all.
Here is Sandoval with the Giants last year. Hit .291 with runners in scoring position. He's got Ortiz at second base. Joseph has to block that one as that one too hit the dirt.
Nice block there from Caleb, recognizing it early, getting himself in a good position, just killing it out in front of him.
Infield shifted over a bit, playing Sandoval, the switch hitter, to pull. Pitch to him will be hit the other way. It'll head into foul territory and into the seats. De Aza running over just in case. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Sandoval. Orioles have the 2-0 lead. Tillman trying to keep it that way. Needs the out here in the inning. He's got 3 strikeouts in the ballgame now. Sandoval robbed by De Aza first time up. Fine catch in the corner and left. Another big cut that's going to be fouled back. 91 miles an hour in the fastball and the 1-2 count on it.
Yeah, this is one of those innings when your team goes out there and puts a couple runs on the board. Really, it's Buchholz behind the 8 ball there with the bases loaded. A lot of pressure on him. He wants to come out here and put a 0 up. Let his team feel confident and keep the offense charged. Of course, the Red Sox, on the other hand, hey, we got to answer back, so they're going to try to put together some good at bats. Chris Tillman's got to bow his neck and come up with some big pitches.
Sandoval 2 for 8 this year. These situations for the Red Sox. Tillman's delivery to him, that'll bounce again. So Joseph getting a workout back there, blocking some pitches delivered by Tillman. Kept that one in front. Again, holds that runner, Ortiz. And the count goes 2-2.
A really good block from Caleb Joseph. I was talking to Torey Lovello, the bench coach for the Boston Red Sox, and he brought up Caleb Joseph. He thought that last year Caleb should have been the MVP. He doesn't think they would have made it to the postseason if not for him when Matt Wieters went down.
Ortiz is running. Ground ball is going to go to short. Cabrera will make the play and record the out. With nobody over there to cover third, Ortiz just took off. So he'll move up with the ground ball by Sandoval, and there are two away, but he gets himself to third base. On Friday, the Orioles will be back home for a 3-game weekend series against these Red Sox. It's going to be the only weekend home showdown for the Orioles Red Sox at Camden Yards. Good seats remain. They won't last. Show your Birdland pride. Help paint the park orange. For tickets, 888-848-BIRD, to go to Orioles.com. So now Tillman can't afford to bury one. Ortiz off third base will get a good secondary lead. Here's Napoli, who grounded out his first time up, and the pitch is there for a strike.
Well, I'll tell you, if he gets to 2 strikes, gets ahead, the breaking ball's working down, I think he trusts Caleb in blocking that breaking ball. If he throws it like he's been, a controllable breaking ball, even though if you bounce it in the dirt, you never know what's going to happen. But Caleb's looked good, keeping his body in front of the breaking ball. Napoli can do some danger, has some power, and you got to make good pitches, and sometimes you may have to bounce one even with a runner at third base.
Napoli this year 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. He is 6 for 23 lifetime off Tillman. Chris working, good rate here, and he gets a strike in the outside corner. Dave Wallace kept all these Oriole pitchers working in a hurry.
Seeing Mike Napoli's power zone. Loves it right down the middle of the plate, maybe a little up in the zone for Napoli. You see Tillman working that outside corner right now.
Ortiz off third base, 1-2 delivery on the way, and that will be up. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 67 pitches thrown so far by Tillman in the ball game.
Staying true to form with the fastball usage. He's going to throw some 2-seamers and cut the fastball.
Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way, and that Neal started to raise the right shoulder on a strike there and didn't. Close.
Yeah, real good pitch here from Chris Tillman. And take a look at the home plate umpire. Up. No, he's going to think twice about it.
So 3-2 down. Ortiz, the leadoff singles at third base. Napoli waiting on it. 3-2 delivery by Tillman. We will do it again.
Best fastball of the game from Tillman, 95 miles an hour right there. That's a good one. Buck Showalter talks about Chris Tillman. It takes him a while sometimes to get into the flow of a game. First couple innings obviously very important for Tillman and his success. And here he's been putting up some zeros, and now you see his arm starting to heat up a little bit. Velocity there.
3-2 coming for the second time to Napoli. And Napoli again will foul it back. Napoli trying to get in that RBI department. As we mentioned, he's not had an RBI. He's hitting only 114, but he has scored a run in each of the last 7 games, which happens to be the longest streak in the majors this season. 3-2, Ortiz off third, the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming from Tillman. It's delivered, and it's fouled back again.
Another great pitch. Nice job here by Caleb Joseph to come out and talk to Chris Tillman. I like this. And this is something that I haven't seen a lot from Caleb Joseph, and I think the more experience he gets in these type of situations, go out and get on the same page. Make sure your pitcher is convicted, has conviction in what he wants to throw. And nice job there. This is a tough at bat and a big inning for Chris Tillman. So good to see him settling down, making some good pitches. Napoli battling through as well.
3-2 will be coming again. Ortiz the lead off third. Tillman delivers in the air. Adam Jones, he's got it lined up. Tillman wins the battle. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and a base runner left on. We've completed 4 at Fenway. The Orioles lead it 2-0. Chris Tillman looking for his second win of the season. He's picked up 3 strikeouts. Alejandro De Aza getting Ortiz, trying to extend the single, and then robbing Sandoval in the second inning. Thank you very much. Hey, all I can do for you. And the Orioles picked up 2 runs, 5 hits, 4th inning. Joseph RBI single, Machado ground ball. Paredes coming up to join the ball club with Scope going on the DL. Scores that second run in the 4th, and the Orioles have a 2-0 lead.
We talk about the importance of Chris Tillman in that last inning to put up a 0 as he did. Well, now it's up to this Orioles offense. Hey, you got Buchholz on the ropes. That was a tough 4th inning when they had the bases loaded, only able to push 2 across. But here, the heart of the order, to keep that pressure on him.
Davis, the only Oriole not to hit in the 4th inning. Chris has struck out twice against Buchholz, 6 for 21 against him now. And the off-speed delivery, which Buchholz has gone more to here in the last couple of innings. It'll be Davis, Jones, and Paredes due up. 0-1 count on Chris, hitting at .222, 5 runs batted in on the year, and that big shift on against him. Davis goes against the shift, and he's got himself a base hit. Holt will pick it up in center, and the Orioles get the leadoff man on for the 2nd inning in a row. Well, the Orioles were proud to join Major League Baseball in honoring Jackie Robinson this week. Each player coach wearing number 42. They have autographed those jerseys, and each is available to you. The auction is going on right now. It will benefit the Orioles Charitable Foundation and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. The bidding closes Wednesday at 10 p.m. Go to Orioles.com/auction and make your bid. Adam Jones 2 for 2 in the ballgame, 2 singles. Upping his numbers against Buchholz now to 8 for 31, including 2 home runs. Adam with an 8-game hit streak, and he'll go after one right there. He was aiming for Lansdowne Street on that one.
Oh, yes, he was. Now he's seeing the ball really well. He's waiting on mistakes, and he got one. And that ball backs up. Cutter missed his spot by about a foot, stayed in the middle of the plate. Boy, he stayed on that backside. He let it fly.
Almost threw it away. You know Chris Davis is going to run. Not. Well, Buchholz true to form.
Yeah. Already like 6 pickoff attempts.
Davis, very short lead over there. Adam Jones, the 0-1 count. Buchholz delivery to him, and that'll be fouled back. Adam wanted that one. Didn't get it. 93 on the fastball that time, 0-2.
Good fastball, but both pitches all over the plate. Buchholz's pitch count up to 69 here in the 5th inning. A huge 4th inning for the Orioles offense. He threw over 30 pitches to try to get out of that inning.
Infield, looking for the ground ball to turn 2. Buchholz on that first base side of the rubber. 0-2 delivery on the way. Adam will chop it right towards second base. Goes behind it. The flip. Pedroia takes it barehanded and safe. And Pedroia's not arguing. Whether he came off the bag or was never on it, I'm not sure, but he's got no argument with Andy Fletcher on the call. So the Orioles get one there. They do not get the force out.
Yeah, great play here by Bogaerts, but Pedroia couldn't get himself in a good position on the base. Couldn't square up the body. Couldn't keep the foot on there. You see him reaching back and never gets there. Chris Davis, good hustle. Into the bag, and Adam Jones on first base.
Good call made by Andy Fletcher. Perfect position to see that. So the Orioles have runners on at first and second here in the 5th with nobody out. And that will bring up Paredes, who has delivered a double. 1 for 2 in the ball game. Sandoval again plays in at third base against him. Buchholz delivers, and a towering fly ball to Ramirez, drifting back near the wall, near it, jumps up and can't get it. Orioles late start. Davis will have to stop. He thought the ball was going to be caught, so he had to wait. And again, Ramirez trying to learn left field here, struggling with it. Is it maybe a ball that should have been caught?
Yeah, he's had some problems here just in the 2 games. So I've heard he's had defensive problems the whole season out in left field, trying to make that adjustment, but never quite gets back there. Just keeps drifting. Davis does a smart job just to read this play, and he thinks he's going to catch it as well. Did you hear it hit the tin and kick back in?
The Orioles have got 11 hits in the ballgame. They gave a hit to Adam Jones on that play at second base, and a hit goes to Paredes. So Paredes, coming on the roster today for Jonathan Scope on the DL, has picked up 2 hits. And now Manny Machado gets another chance. He drove in a run his last time up on a ground ball out. This time he's got the bases loaded and nobody out. The Orioles with 3 singles here in the 5th inning. Buckholt's delivery to him will miss outside for a ball. So the Orioles, a lot of base runners against Buchholz here in the ball game. He retired the side in order in the 3rd. The other innings, the Orioles have had at least 1 on base. They left the bases loaded in the 4th inning when they scored 2. Now I've loaded them up again. That will catch the corner as he stays down and away.
Good pitcher's pitch right there to get back into the count. Tough situation, no outs and the bases loaded. But credit this Orioles offense. Good game plan. Of course, they'd like to have more runs across the board, but 11 hits already in this game off Buchholz.
Paredes has had the double. That's the only extra base hit the Orioles have of the 11. Manny Machado, ouch. Hannigan reaching out for that, and that's going to bring Farrell and the trainer out.
Well, he took one off the hand in yesterday's ball game as well. You see him shaking it off.
Right off that throwing hand.
Buchholz throwing the cut fastball again. You see him off the plate. Manny reaching out. You see the hand exposed. So almost the same play in yesterday's ball game.
So now the question of whether or not he'll be able to stay in the ball game. Ellis Vasquez on the DL, their injured starting catcher. He wants to take a couple of throws here. And Buchholz will toss it in. The question, can he throw it back?
Good there. Won't have to throw anybody out if the bases stay loaded.
Says he's okay. That hurts. That bare hand. So Manny Machado will stand back in. Manny's got a 1-ball 2-strike count. Davis at 3rd, Jones at 2nd. Paredes on at first base. In at first base, Napoli, even with a back Sandoval, middle of the infield back. So the corners will come to the plate. The middle infield will just, on a ground ball, will try for the double play. 2nd to 1st. Machado will try and avoid all that by getting a base hit. And now Adian's going to go out and talk to Buchholz on what they want to throw here.
Yeah, we saw this in the last inning with Caleb Joseph, making sure everybody's on the same page. Got a runner at second base. Make sure you know what sign you're using. Regroup after the little pause when Hannigan took the foul ball off the finger.
11 base runners in 5 innings for the Orioles against Clay Buchholz. Hannigan setting up low and away. 1-2 delivery. That's where he threw it, only too low, and the count will go to 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Really trying to stay away from Manny, off the plate away. Hannigan setting up off the plate throughout this whole at bat. See everything, all 4 pitches down and off the plate.
Machado with a 2-2. Buchholz pitch didn't bend the way he wanted it to. It'll miss inside. So a 3-ball 2-strike count. No place to put Manny Machado. Orioles on top by a score of 2-0. A lot of room in that infield dirt with first and third pulled in. And a lot of room between first and second, short and third.
Definitely some holes out there on the infield. The Red Sox just wanting to try to minimize the damage and get an out.
3-2 delivery on the way to him. Ground ball to first base. Wants to come home. Napoli does. Gets one. Relay to first. That's a nice play. Real nice play as the strategy works. That's why you keep the corners in. So they turn the double play a 3-2-3.
Yeah, real nice defensive play here, and you're exactly right. You bring the corners in to try to cut down the run at the plate. And we talk about minimizing the damage. Nice job by Hannigan to set up the throw, and then on down to first base. And Buchholz fired up. He's been in some tough situations here the last couple innings. On the way to get out of a little jam right there.
So a chance to get out of the inning with the bases loaded and nobody out. Gets the double play. Now second and third, 2 down. Joseph, an RBI base hit in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game now with 4. Batted in on the year, hitting at 379. Caleb, a base hit here would be 2 more RBIs. Fastball is outside for a ball. Orioles now 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Trying to get that big hit here and get that lead up. Only 2-0 in the 5th.
Yeah, if Buchholz finds a way to get out of this jam, this could be like a momentum kind of shifter for the Red Sox.
1-0 delivery in the dirt. Good stop by Hannigan.
3 consecutive singles to start this inning off. Navarro out in the Red Sox bullpen, and a big double play ball. So just to keep it at a 2-run game would be a success in and of itself, and that might be something that rejuvenates this team offensively.
Sun to the right side now, center, right field, second base, in the sun. And the bullpen's enjoying it on a cold day. 2-0 count. Runners off second and third. Jones and Paredes. Pitches right there for a strike. Buchholz battling, trying to get through here in a 2-ball, 1-strike count. He's had to make a lot of pressure pitches. This has not been the 80 pitches he's thrown for the most part have been tough pitches. It's just a third 1-2-3 inning. Joseph 2-1. Caleb takes it. That's going to miss. So it goes to 3-1. Joseph gets the count in his favor with Ryan Flaherty is 2 for 2 waiting on deck.
You can see Buchholz, it seems like even though he's given up all these base hits in this ball game, 11, and only the 1 extra base hit, the double with Paredes, he's got good focus. And I think you're right. He's trying to bounce back after what happened in his last start where he felt like he wasn't very professional, let his team down and the fans.
Came in with a dead strike right there down low. So 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. Big pitch.
He is working. There's been some deep counts.
Key moments in ball games. There have been a number of them in this one because of the number of base runners the Orioles have had on. 3 singles to start the inning, but nobody's crossed the plate yet. Caleb Joseph 3-2. Buchholz delivers to him, and he loaded. That is the first walk surrendered in the game by Buchholz, and the Orioles have the bases loaded. This is the 3rd time in the ball game and twice this inning that the Orioles have had them loaded. And now it's up to Ryan Flaherty.
He had the open base out there, and he was working that outside corner to Caleb Joseph. Actually got a call for a strike on the outside corner, so stayed. But Caleb, a nice job showing the patience. And now he's got to face the Red Sox killer Ryan Flaherty. So much success here.
Flaherty is 5 for 14 now off Buchholz with the 2 singles he's picked up in the ball game. Buchholz delivery to him. That will be in there for a strike. 1 base hit right here. Changes the whole complexion of this ball game. Flaherty, this is going to be second chance on the year he has had with runners in scoring position. The other one came in that fourth inning, and he delivered a base hit. Oh, on the count, 2 down. That one bounces. And again, able to keep it out in front. Jones will stay at third base.
You see Ryan, seems like he's in more control of his body. Not a big stride now when he steps to the baseball. Trying to quiet down that lower half and really control the front side. A lot of times he gets out on that front foot and makes him susceptible to the breaking balls. Has a lot of head movement. That's really what Cool Ball and Flaherty have been working on. He's had some good at-bats here in this ball game. This one could be a big one.
271 lifetime average against the Red Sox with a couple of home runs. And a whole lot better than that, as we said, in this ballpark, hitting 367. And he's up that today with 2 hits. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Buchholz with the bases loaded. Flaherty thought about it, takes it, it's away. 2-1. Buchholz not giving in on any of these pitches. He's trying to tantalize Oriole batters with stuff out of the strike zone, and they're not chasing.
Yeah, another good game plan. We saw that in yesterday's game as well. Even though a lot of runs didn't get put up, the Orioles offense, they made Joe Kelly work for everything he had. And his pitch count got up early in that game as well.
2-1 count. Flaherty will take it. Inside corner strike. A bend on that one, and the count goes to 2-2.
Look at the respect here for Ryan Flaherty, and obviously with the bases loaded, you can't stick with one pitch, but he's mixed it up. A couple breaking balls, some change-ups to Flaherty here in this at-bat. Trying to stay down in the zone to him.
Jones, Paredes, and Joseph are the base runners for the Orioles in a long 5th inning. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Flaherty reaches. He will foul that one back, and there will be no play.
Change up from Buchholz. Good job by Flaherty. That one missing the spot up in the zone. So it was a hanger. Got after it a little bit. Looks like a beach ball floating in there at 78 miles an hour. The 4-seam grip ready to go.
Two count, runners edge off. And Flaherty will go down swinging as he kept that low and in. 7 strikeouts for Buchholz, and for the 2nd inning in a row, the Orioles leave the bases loaded. Against Rick Porcello in Game 3 of this 4-game set. Our coverage on Masson at 1 o'clock. O's Extra presented by Jeep. And our game coverage at 1:30. All the access you need right here on Masson. There are the starters.
Yeah, Miguel Gonzalez, the 1-1 start. But look at that earned run average, 1.42 with 15 punch-outs on the year. And Porcello done a fine job. It's coming over from the Detroit Tigers. Big pickup. 1 win in the early going here. He's already pitched deep in the ball games. 10 punch outs, just the 3 walks. So it should be a good matchup in tomorrow's game.
Well, let's see if the Orioles are going to pay for these bases loaded situations where they have not converted. First 3 on in the 5th inning and they don't get a run. They did get runs in the 4th inning, 2 of them, but left the bases loaded there. And Tillman, a couple of long rests on the bench here on a cold day. Pitch will be away for a ball. Daniel Nava grounded out his first time up. Bogarts, then Hannigan will be due up against Tillman, who has walked 1 and struck out 3. 2-11-0 for the Orioles, 0-3-0 for the Red Sox. The Orioles have already left 9 on base in this ball game, and 5 of those have been in scoring position. They put the shift on now in the middle of the at-bat with a 1-ball, 1-strike count against Nava. And he will take the strike. 1-2.
Nice breaking ball right there from Chris Tillman. Mix it in. Got a lot of weapons he can go to against Nava. Ride that fastball to the top of the zone. Of course, bury the breaking ball, and the changeup always very effective against the lefty.
Tillman's delivery to him, and he got him. Got him looking. Nava doesn't believe it. That's 4 strikeouts for Tillman.
Well, you see, Nava was thinking about everything I was saying. He lets a good fastball go that ends up right down the middle. Take a look at the fastball from Tillman, 89 miles an hour, and it just locks up Nava. A little two-seam action as it comes back over there, but a good pitch doesn't waste any time.
It's pretty much a strike.
Oh, yeah. All over the place.
Here is Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts drew a walk. The only one surrendered by Tillman. He was stranded at third in the 3rd inning. Bogaerts, couple of hits, 14 at bats off Tillman. Hannigan waiting on deck. And the pitch up and in. Count will go to 2-0 on Bogaerts. Another pitcher's duel underway here. Buchholz has been able to work his way around the problems that he's had with runners on. And Tillman's been able to keep runners off for the most part. 3 have been left on, 2 in scoring position by the Red Sox. Two-one delivery. We'll be backing out of play. Big crowd on hand here today with the city just jammed with folks for the marathon, the Boston Marathon on Monday. Walking around town this morning a bit, it was shoulder to shoulder on the sidewalks. It was just full. 2-ball, 2-strike count. And outside, Tillman slipping a bit on the delivery there. 3-2.
Yeah, yanked that one a little bit. This ball game's been really good for Tillman so far to this point. Just about every pitch he's thrown has had meaning. You know, there haven't been these wild misses, either way up or way out of the zone.
3-2 delivery. That's going to be to center. Jones. He'll give way. Diving, and a fine catch made by Pierce. Steve Pierce coming over from right field. Timed it perfectly and hauls it in off the blades of grass at Fenway.
Yeah, beautiful play here from Steve Pierce. And Buck Showalter has so much trust in him that wherever he puts him, he's going to give everything he's got. No different there on that play. Look at this diving effort. Cutting in front of Adam Jones. Beautiful play right there. And, of course, the Gold Glover, Adam Jones, loving it, giving some props after it.
Adam's still cheering him from center field out there. The corners have really helped Tillman in this ball game. Look at this. Adam all over him. He wanted to look up at the scoreboard to see it again, but they didn't run it. Pitch will be taken for a strike in the outside corner. 2 down, nobody on. Hannigan called out on strikes his first time up. Diaz has made 2 outstanding plays in left field, and now Pierce comes up with 1 in right. Now Adams going, what about me? Give me 1. 0-1 count, 2 down. That one bounced out in front. You can text Masson's word of the day, balance, to 29292. Your chance to win a meet and greet with Buck Showalter, presented by Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield, who encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier, more active lifestyle. 1-1 delivery on the way. A little bit low, maybe. Pretty good. 2 ball, 1 strike count.
Real good fastball right there from Tillman. I'm sure Caleb Joseph going to have a little discussion right on the outside corner.
Leads to the 2-1 delivery to Hannigan. That's there. No. Okay. That's why I don't umpire. And a 3 ball, 1 strikeout.
Wow. Hit that spot 3 times in a row and 1 strikeout.
2 down, 3-1 delivery on the way, and that will miss outside. So Tillman, that's the second walk he surrendered, goes to the number 9 hitter, Hannigan. Now they turn the order over, and Holt coming up. He has singled and struck out. Holt's got a 5-game hit streak with a base hit he's picked up. He's gone 9 for his last 16 at the plate. 5 RBIs. Showed bunt. Brings Machado charging in. Manny was moved over towards the shortstop side on Holt.
Holt has really made an impact in this Red Sox team the last couple of years. Of course, swinging the bat, but defensively as well. He can play everywhere. He is the super utility player with great value. Played all the infield positions and outfield positions. I mean, a lot of value there. You don't see many guys who can play center field in the major leagues and also shortstop. Everywhere else in between.
Joseph going out, just I think trying to settle Tillman down here, who was unhappy with some of those calls on Hannigan. Can't let that affect the next batter here. He needs only 1 to get out of it. Holt's it, and a 2-0 count. Holt last year, what Mike was talking about, he played first, second, third, short, left, right, and center. Became the first Red Sox player ever to start at all of those positions in a year. Pitches on the outside corner, and a 2 ball, 1 strike count. Holt along the way in the minors has always shown a good bat. Won the Eastern League batting title 1 season. He's played with the Pirates and the Red Sox at the major league level. 2-1 delivery by Tillman. He'll miss up high with it. A 3 ball, 1 strike count.
Got to get back into this count, and you have to do it with a quality pitch. Holt, a very dangerous hitter. To a good start, can spray the ball all over the field. You see the respect when a defense is lined up straight up all over the place. I can handle the bat.
Catches that one at the knees down low. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Davis will move behind the base runner at first, Hannigan. Orioles infield back deep. Runner will go. 3-2 delivery on the way, and that's going to be a base hit. Adam Jones will charge. Hannigan on his way to third. So Holt delivers his second hit of the ball game, and the Red Sox, as they have done previously in it, have runners at first and third with 2 down.
Back-to-back ABs from Holt, where he's worked the count to full and then shot it up the middle, staying on it, not trying to do too much, just get the good part of the bat on. The infield playing pretty quick right now. And it shoots right through there. Hannigan cruising on into third base. So a little bit of pressure put on Chris Tillman here. Now the heart of the order coming through.
So that will bring Pedroia to the plate. A nemesis against a lot of teams. The Orioles, one of them. 325 career average, 4th best among active players. Robinson Cano, Ichiro, Jacoby Ellsbury, the others. He's grounded out twice so far. First and third, 2 down. And the pitch taken for a strike.
Good change up right there from Chris Tillman to get ahead.
Red Sox have not had a hit with a runner in scoring position in the game. They're 0 for 4. 1 for 9 so far in the first 2 games of this series. 0-1 count, 2 down. Pedroia. Tillman's delivery to him, and that'll be foul back. Pedroia has had more at-bats against Tillman than anyone else in this Red Sox lineup. 37 times to the plate in his career against Chris. 10 for 37. Getting moved over towards the line, Steve Pearce.
Pedroia can get on a fastball. Tillman really a fastball pitcher.
0-2 delivery to Oyman. That one up and in gets him. So strikeout number 5 for Tillman. No runs on 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left on. A little help by the D. The strikeout will end the inning, while Pearce made the diving catch to get Bogaerts with a second out. I'm brought to you by Miller Lite.
Clay Buchholz has been in some trouble, especially in the 4th inning, but here in the 5th, bases loaded after 3 consecutive singles, and he gets Machado to ground to the 3-1-3 or 3-2-3 double play. And Ryan Flaherty down on the hard cutter inside to get out of a big jam.
Both of these pitchers have worked through tough situations. Buchholz more than Tillman. It remains a 2-0 Orioles lead. The Orioles getting the RBIs, Machado and Joseph. 3 for 9 runners in scoring position for the Orioles. 9 left on. The Red Sox 0 for 5 with 5 left on base so far. Offense is struggling in this one. Everett Cabrera. Sandoval in. Cabrera hitting 9th in the order. A base hit, 1 for 2 in the ball game. Off speed delivered. Will be the 90th pitch thrown by Buchholz in the ball game. Red Sox have had their bullpen active once. Buchholz threw 94 in his first start, through 79 pitches in 3 1/3 innings in that last game against New York. Fastball is going to miss down low. Cabrera will get ahead 2-0.
Both Buchholz and Tillman early exits, so kept their pitch counts down a little bit. Both should feel pretty strong in this game, and both are throwing the ball pretty well.
Wind continues to blow in. 2-0 delivery on the way. Temperature had dropped a couple of degrees in the first 3 innings. It's gone up those 2 degrees, according to the Weather Bureau. We're right at 48 where we started. Be good news if it's going to warm up a little bit here, because it was cold when this game started, and that flag's been unfurled throughout. Buchholz with the 2-1 delivery. Cabrera will put it in the air. That's towards the green monster. Holt gets help from Ramirez, who puts it away. Cabrera retired. Voting is now open for the AT&T Fans Choice Bobblehead promotion. Go to Orioles.com/bobblehead. You can vote for Britton, Chen, O'Day, Norris, or Pierce. It's 1 for Britton, 2 for Chen, 3 for O'Day, 4 for Norris, 5 for Pierce. You go to 31826. Every time you vote, you're entered to win a VIP experience, including tickets, autographed bobblehead, and a pregame on-field experience. Go to Orioles.com/bobblehead.
Good way to remember that by song.
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Okay, good. And the pitch is taken inside for a ball. Alejandro Diaz in the leadoff spot, 0 for 3 in the ball game, 0 for 7 in the first 2 games. Sandoval way in at third. And the pitch, strike on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strikeout. Diaz hitting at .262, couple of home runs.
Yeah, he's got some pop.
Looks like this will be the last inning for Buchholz with that pitch count, the bullpen active again. Here's the 1-1 delivery to him. That's where he's gone after it. 1-2.
Yeah, when he wants to try to get a strike or finish a lefty off, it seems like that's his go-to pitch. That cutter in under the hands is Alexi Agondo warming up in the Red Sox bullpen.
And slaps at that one to second base, Dustin Pedroia. 2 down, 6th inning. So Buchholz trying to get a clean inning here. If he can, it would only be the second one that he's had. As he gets the first 2 out here in the 6th. Steve Pearce, a base hit, and he has struck out twice. 1 walk and 7 strikeouts so far for Buchholz. Sooner do I say, it would be nice if it warmed up than that bone-chilling wind is blowing directly in from center. Steve Pearce back in. Sandoval guarding the line at third against him, and the ball foul back.
Good aggressive cut right there from Steve Pearce. One thing Buchholz hasn't done is consistently work right-handers inside. He loves that outside corner, cutting it off. 2-seamers out there trying to bring it back, really expanding the zone. The outside edge.
A 1 delivery on the way. Buchholz throwing strikes here, and it'll be fouled back by Pearce, and the count will go to 0-2. That's what we were talking about, that wind blowing right straight in.
Cause some problems for fielders. Got to pay attention to the elements here and understand what the ball is going to do when it goes up in the air.
Here's the 0-2 delivery on the way, and Pearce will not go after that waste pitch outside. And the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. .100. Pitch is thrown. 1-2 delivery on the way. Pearce again will watch.
Buchholz has had some strong years with the Red Sox. He was off a little bit last season, but they're hoping he can regain that form that got him to a point where they thought he could potentially be the #1 guy in this rotation.
2-2 delivery, reach for that one towards left center field. Holt, Ramirez, and it's Holt who will make the catch. So it is a 1-2-3 6th inning. Bottom half of it coming up at Fenway. Orioles up 2-0. Maryland University College. They bring us this moment in baseball history. In 1899, John McGraw was only 26 years old. Debuted as a major league manager for the Orioles. They beat the Giants being a team he would manage for 30 years. And in 1946 at Roosevelt Stadium in a game against the Jersey Giants, Montreal Royals on deck batter George Schuba congratulated Jackie Robinson with a handshake. There's a great picture of that you can find online. It was called the Handshake for the Century. It was the first time that a white player publicly acknowledged the accomplishment of a black teammate back in 1946 in his season in the minors. Here in this one, a 2-0 Orioles lead. Tillman works here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Ortiz drills it. That's going to go to the corner. It'll take a hop off the wall. Ortiz on his way to second base. There's his throw. Will not be in time, and it is a stand-up double. Ortiz having a day. A couple of singles and a 2-bagger to lead off the 6th.
Yeah, he got on the high fastball there from Chris Tillman. Tillman lucky this one stayed in the ballpark. You see elevated middle, and he just gets on top of it enough to be a line drive. He stays on that backside, and Steve Pearson corrals it out in that right field wall. Gets it back in.
So the leadoff man on, Brad Brock in the bullpen for the Orioles. This is the second time leadoff man's been on against Tillman in the ball game. Here's Ramirez 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out. Ramirez to be followed by Sandoval here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Tillman's delivery to him, a ground ball. Ortiz is going to go. He'll make it. Cabrera's got to go to first base to record the out, so a productive out in that he moves him over with one away. Experience Oriole Park in an exciting new way when you pick up an Oriole Park 5-bagger suite program. One low price, all inclusive, fully catered suite, 5 games, including games against the Sox or Yankees, plus parking, VIP treatment, and more. Great way to entertain. For details, 410-547-6173, or you can go to Orioles.com/suites. Infield will stay back with one down. Ortiz at third. Sandoval 0 for 2. Go after the first pitch and foul it back. With a runner at third base, Manny Machado will stay somewhat over towards third and in a little bit. Machado is the one, if a ground ball came to him, could make a play at the plate, possibly.
Yeah, certainly has to protect for the bunt there. That's why he's in pretty close. Ortiz at bay a little bit.
Ground ball, runner not going, and it is fouled off. Brian Butterfield, third base coach, takes an unusual coaching position in this situation. With Ortiz coming off the bag, you see Butterfield, he will stay down the left field line behind Ortiz so that he can keep an eye on Manny Machado as to where Machado's moving and keep Ortiz safe should Machado move over. 0-2 count. Runner not going, now the runner goes. Play is going to be nowhere. Tillman wanted to come home. As a result, he'll get no outs, and it is a 2-1 game.
Yeah, tough break right there for Chris Tillman. Nice pitch. Sandoval out in front, and Tillman attacks the ball with the idea he wants to gun down Ortiz. Even though Ortiz doesn't have the best speed, he's able to get off there a little bit further. He should have taken that out.
So Sandoval will be credited with the infield single, and he will pick up the RBI. And it's a 2-1 ball game. On the base hit by Sandoval. That's his 4th run batted in. Now Napoli is 0 for 2. He is grounded out and flied out. And the tight ball game gets tighter. Pitch will be inside. Tillman now up to 101 pitches thrown in the ball game. And another game where the bullpens are going to play a very active part.
Tillman looks strong. He's still making good pitches. He's made a lot of mistakes in this ball game, if any. Maybe that first fastball to David Ortiz. It was elevated a little bit. But, mixing in his pitch as well. Unfortunate that Sandoval was able to put that last pitch in play. A great breaking ball.
2-0 the count. Delivery on the way to him, and that will be there for his strike. Napoli. He's had an 0 for 5 so far in the 2 games here in this 4-game set. Tough baseball being played last night. Red Sox winning at 3-2, bottom of the 9th. This one 2-1, 6th inning. 2-1 delivery on the way, and that's going to be a base hit into left field. Napoli with a single. De Aza will get it in. Sandoval will stop at second base. Third hit of the inning against Tillman. 2 on and 1 down.
Tillman a little bit right now, and Buck soon enough.
So Buck Showalter on his way out, and Brad Brock will be coming out of the bullpen for the Orioles. Did not appear in the ball game yesterday. Tillman leaves with a chance to be the winning pitcher. He will be responsible, however, for the 2 who are on the mound. Time for a little relief, and for your car too. Visit Jiffy Lube for regular oil changes and help prevent damage and wear to your engine. Jiffy Lube, drive in today.
After getting knocked out 2 1/3 his last start, comes back mixing up all of his pitches. Nasty breaking ball there to Hannigan. Good fastball to get Hanley. Here's a fastball that locks Nava up. Pedroia reaching out for the breaking ball. Manny Machado with the fine play, and Tillman loving that. Here, Pedroia chasing the high fastball. Nice outing for Chris Tillman. He'd love to have gone a little bit deeper, but 5 1/3, 105 pitches. Red Sox made him work. Only gave up the 6 hits. Brad Brock into the ball game. Here's his pitch arsenal. Good fastball, crossbody delivery. He's at 56% of the time. Curve and the good changeup. Looking to bring that earned run average down. A slow start for him this season. He's going to find his rhythm. This is a big test here.
Daniel Nava runners on at first and second base. Nava 0 for 2 against Brock in the only times he's faced them. Red Sox with a run in. 2-1 ball game. Nava has struck out and grounded out. Bogart's waiting on deck. Sandoval, the runner at second base, and Napoli on at first. Pitch will be taken up high. Red Sox still after their first hit with a runner in scoring position in this game. They are 0 for 7. 1 for 12 in the first 2 ball games. Orioles bullpen has been touched up. They're 14th in ERA, second highest in the American League.
Trying to find their rhythm a little bit. Guys have been put in positions that they're not used to being thrown in. Of course, yesterday's ball game, a great example when Ubaldo got ejected early. Some guys had to do a little bit extra. Trying to find their roles Coach Buck will use anybody at any given time, but these type of situations, Brad Brock flourished last season. Very tough, and sink that fastball, get the ground ball when he needs. Some really good secondary pitches.
Runners off first and second base, and the pitch will be taken inside for a ball. The Orioles bullpen availability today, of course, kind of at risk in light of what they had to do yesterday with Ubaldo Jimenez getting thrown out of the ball game. Gausman, O'Day, Madison, Hunter all appeared in the game yesterday. 2-2 delivery, and that is wrapped foul into the first row down the line. They've got the Rule 5 rookie Garcia in the bullpen, and right now that's a problem. If you don't keep him, you lose him. They don't want to lose him, but he hasn't gained the confidence of Buck Showalter to come into ball games yet. So the fact of the matter is, you got him sitting out there in a non-use position, which means you're really one short in the bullpen. So the Orioles have to kind of decide what to do with that. As he is right now just a mop-up man. Not that he's going to be that all year. Ground ball towards second base. What they wanted. Flaherty won. Relay Cabrera guns it over, and they get a big double play. And there you see the cannon of Cabrera, who took that long flip. Nava hits into the double play. A run in on 3 hits. 1 left on base. Big double play turn. 2-1 for him. Kings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code TRIPLEPLAY for free entry. On a windy, cold day here at Fenway, Clay Buchholz has finished up his day.
Yeah, pretty good job, though. Another good outing, much like Tillman, to bounce back after a rough second start. 6 innings. Gave up the 11 hits, but none for big damage. Only gave up the 2 earned runs. And he gives way to Alexi Ogando. Rangers didn't want him anymore, so the Red Sox picked him up this winter. Likes the fastball 74% of the time. Has a good slider for breaking ball, and an occasional change, primarily just fastball slider pitchers. Gone to his fastball a lot more this year. He's an earned run average at 6.75, so wants to bring that down. No walks, but that has been a problem in the past. Just the command and control of his pitches seem to get him into some trouble, but get that fastball and work it in the mid-90s.
So Ogando will go to work here in a tight ball game in the 7th inning. Orioles will have Davis, Jones, and Paredes due up. Chris Davis, base hit his last time up, couple of strikeouts, and Ogando's delivery will be in there for a strike. Shift, of course, put on here against him. Alexei Ogando out of the Dominican Republic, 31 years old. And that will be in there for his strike. Here goes that change of shifts here. They move Sandoval over to the second base side, bring Bogarts back to the shortstop side against Davis. Right-handers 0-2 delivery, and he'll miss that one away. Orioles got their runs in the 4th inning, sending 8 to the plate. Machado on a ground ball out Joseph on a single. RBI single by Sandoval, 6th inning, accounting for the Boston run. 2-11-1 for the Orioles, 1-6-0 for the Red Sox. Gondo's delivery to him. Close.
Just
2-2.
with the good fastball, 95 miles an hour. Hannigan kind of holds it there for an extra second or two. Working away. That 4th pitch just off the plate.
2 ball, 2 strike count to him. Outfield shaded to left against Chris Davis on this count anyway. Gondo's 2-2 delivery to him, and that's where he hits the ball, but it will be foul. Gondo against the Orioles. This will be the 8th time he's appeared against them. He's 1-1. 4.26 earned run average against the O's. And he'll back off. Bruce Davis. Watch that one drop at his feet.
Change up right there, the rare change up, but feeling like he's on the fastball right now, so mix it up, change the speeds. And right back with the heater too with the 3-2 count.
Out of the stretch, and the 3-2 delivery on the way to him, and Davis with a big crank will foul that one back and will hold the count at 3-2. Right back with you tomorrow. Game 3, 1 o'clock goes extra, 1:34 the ball game. Hopefully it'll warm up a little from the weather we have right now. Last night's night game was very nice. It was like 64 when we started. This game started at 48 and has stayed there. 3 ball, 2 strike count. 8th pitch of the at bat on the way, and that'll be ripped the other way, foul. A sea of jackets down there. So Davis battling Gondo here, leading off the 7th inning.
Seeing all of his pitches now. That last pitch, his little slider, not a big break. It's going to be more of a little cut action. 8 pitches thrown to this point, wanting to get him out away, trying to mix it up with that pitch inside.
And Chris will go down swinging. So the 3rd time he has struck out. High heater. 1 down, 7 inning.
Yeah, had some good swings and kept him in the zone for the most part, but then the one pitch that gets up and out of the zone, he chases at 94 miles an hour. A little extra life when it's up there and you throw that firm, and he's more upset that he swung at that pitch than actually missed it.
So Gondo gets a K, first batter faced. Adam Jones has had a big day. 3 singles picked up off Buchholz, and he has scored a run. Adam continues that hot streak, moving the average up to 436. With the 4 home runs and 11 RBIs. Set up away, and the pitch is away. Be very careful with Adam Jones here. Orioles in the strikeout department came into the ball game with the 3rd most strikeouts in the American League. They've added to that with 8 here in the game so far. That will just miss, staying away again, and the count's 2-0.
Good takes right there from Adam. Pitch is just off the plate. Of course, Gondo wants that. Hannigan wants it, but they want Adam Jones to start expanding that strike zone a little bit. He's not going to bite. He's seeing the ball too well.
He's 0 for 4 against Gondo, and that one inside a protective swing right there. You get a couple pitches away like that, and you're looking for it again. You maybe lean a little bit, and then you get one coming in on you.
Yeah, and that ball took off. That arm side run you see righties get. I don't know that he wanted to throw it in there. I think he just opened up a little too soon, and it took off up and in.
Oh, 2 ball, 1 strike count. Jones pitch that rides in. Had motion on it, too far inside though, and a 3-ball, 1-strike count. Orioles have had only 1 walk in the ball game. Buck also that 1 free pass, and that came in the 5th inning to Caleb Joseph. Three-one delivery to Jones, swinging, chopper, swinging bunt. Gondo flips. Napoli there, 2 down.
It's nice that Adam can laugh about that after he got his 3 hits. Whereas when you feel that good, you expect to get a hit every time you come up, and he just reached out, put the heart in the swing right there, but doesn't change his thought process running down the line. He's hustling all the way.
Well, the Red Sox able to get Jones for the first time today. Paredes up. He has single doubled, 2 for 3. Joining the Red Sox today with Jonathan Scope going on the DL.
And Paredes is definitely going to add a spark in this lineup. The switch hitter, he's a big kid. He's a strong kid with power. And he swings it well from both sides of the plate.
He'll be back near the screen and on the other side of it. Yes, Hannigan will watch it land in the crowd. And a 1-strike count on Paredes. At least for right now for the Orioles. At the moment, we'll see where it goes. There was some concern before the game whether the Orioles would have to make some kind of a roster change for tomorrow regarding their pitching, depending on how many pitchers had to come out of the bullpen in this game. So far, it's just been Brock. We'll see where that ends up.
I think ideally they would have loved Chris Tillman to get into the 7th inning, but they'll take that, getting deep enough into the ball game. Well, we've heard it from Dave Wallace and Buck Showalter how important it is to have 6 complete. That's what they'd like to do, then get back to the back end of the bullpen. And you're taken out in 5 1/3, you may potentially have to use an extra arm in the bullpen. And right now, they've used so many. They want to try to keep everybody as fresh as possible.
1 ball, 1-strike count. 2 down, bases empty. Agondo's delivery. Paredes will swing and foul tip it. Between the lines today with Buck Showalter in the press conference, for the first time he said regarding Kevin Gausman, maybe he needs to go down and pitch as a starter at AAA. He hadn't said that before, and he didn't say it directly. It was a maybe. He said, we'll see. Kevin has not been effective out of the bullpen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think Kevin's learned a lot, obviously, in his time at the major league level. He learned about starting pitching, what you had to do to be successful. And I think Buck touched on the fact that when Kevin got moved to the bullpen before, he had started, so he had a feel for all of his pitches. Now, it's not that coming out of spring training, Kevin didn't have a total feel, but I think the mindset was that he could get away with more mistakes, possibly throwing 98, 99 out of the bullpen. Well, indeed, he still has to pitch and find ways to keep hitters off balance.
That is a fair ball, and Agondo comes over the cover. He'll take the clip from Napoli at a 1-2-3 inning. So, 7th inning stretch time here at Fenway, and the fans will love that. Just trying to warm up. Orioles have the 2-1 lead. Buck Showalter hollering out that maybe he wants to challenge this call, and the home plate umpire is the crew chief. That's Jerry Meals. Buck is looking to his replay official for a decision on this, yes or no.
Yeah, I think it ended up in foul territory, but he called it before it even hit the ground as far as going over the base. Fair.
And they're going to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" anyway. So I guess we're not going to get any challenge on that one. 7th inning stretch, 2-1 Orioles.
Caleb Joseph staying red hot. Base hit right back through the box, scoring Jimmy Paredes. And here Pierce flashing the leather. Yeah, Chris Tillman was helped out by his corner outfielders, but this time it's Steve Pierce getting dirty. For Tillman, big out there. And Chris Tillman, he kept the Sox in check. There's one of his 5 strikeouts, getting Pedroia chase that high fastball. Remember, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
And the delivery will be taken for a strike. Brad Brock will stay on. A 1-2-3. Orioles retired in the top half. They're right back to the plate. Bogarts, Hannigan, and Holt will be due up. Bogarts a walk, and the diving catch robbed of a hit by Pierce in right field. Brad Brock came on, got the big double play ground ball to end that 6th inning, and now has to go another here. At least one more inning is what they would like to get out of Brad Brock. Right-hander's delivery will be swung on and fouled back by Bogarts.
Well, that was a huge confidence booster, that last inning there, when Brad Brock was able to roll that 4-6-3 double play ball. That's what he's good at. You know, coming in big situations, he has good movement, good deception. He can get a big strikeout when you need to. A lot of swing and misses coming out of that right arm, and he needs to get the ground ball as he did that last inning. He can do it with a good sink.
That one way outside on the overthrow, and a 1-ball 2-strike count on Bogarts. 28 years old for the Oriole right-hander. Went to college in Monmouth, New Jersey. He's worked as many as 4 innings in a ball game. Did that last year. That ball's going to be hit to center. Jones got the good break on it. He'll get there and haul it in. Adam instantly on it, and Bogarts is retired. 1 down, bottom of the 7th.
Good jump right there by Adam. Good pitch. He's been a little bit up, but he's changed his speeds pretty well. And we talk about sometimes deception from pitchers. Well, Brad Brock, he throws across his body, so hitters don't pick it up. Sometimes on those sliders and change-ups, he can get out on that front foot, and that's exactly what happened there.
Red Sox catcher hitting in the 9 spot, Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan has struck out and walked. He is 2 for 2 off Brock. And will take the pitch inside for a ball. 2-11-1 for the Orioles, 1-6-0 for the Red Sox. The Orioles, couple of chances, bases loaded, 4th and 5th innings, 2 in the 4th, none in the 5th. Red Sox getting their run in the 6th, and here we are in another tight game here in the 2nd of 4. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Hannigan.
One thing that we should look at in this series is the fact that Orioles pitchers, even though yesterday a very tough loss, have really been able to keep this Red Sox offense at bay, at least to this point. They've been pretty productive here the first couple weeks of the season.
2 ball, 1 strike count. And that one's going to miss up high. So he falls behind here, 3 balls and 1 strike.
So the Red Sox 60 runs already this season. That's 4th in Major League Baseball.
3-1 pitch to him, and strike called on the inside corner. He wanted to take first on that, and will not be able to do it. Toronto got a win today against Atlanta, 6-5, scoring a run in the 10th inning at home to win the ball game. R.A. Dickey started 4 runs, 4 hits over 7. The win went to Cecil in relief. He worked a scoreless inning. Foul back. Interleague play, of course, every day during the season, all season long. Somebody's playing interleague baseball under the schedule that went into effect a couple of years ago. 3 ball, 2 strike count on Hannigan.
The Red Sox have already had 2 interleague games. Open up with Philly.
And another one foul back.
Just got done with Washington. Hannigan, time getting on the fastball. He's been a little bit late on everybody that's throwing the fastball up there. At least he's keeping his bat alive.
Red Sox will not have interleague play until they go to New York in May against the Mets. A couple of games, 5th and 6th of May. Another one back. Last year the Orioles went to Chicago, played both the north and south side. This year they're going to go to New York and play both Queens and the Bronx. They get 2 against the Mets and will play the Yankees for 4 during that trip to New York in May. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Hannigan hanging tough here against Brock. Tillman worked the 5 1/3, a run on 6 hits, couple of walks, 5 strikeouts for Chris. And got him on a great pitch. Anthony's away. 2 down.
Well, you saw after yesterday's ball game, probably not going to see another breaking ball. So keeps with the fastball, and he dots it at 94. A couple head shakes, and right back to the heater. And this is about as well as you can execute a fastball. Down and away, almost unhittable there, locking up Hannigan.
So Brock's got 2 down. He'll look for the 1-2-3 inning. Brock Holt, leadoff batter. Takes the pitch away for a ball. Holt, 5-game hit streak, adding to it in this game, couple of hits. Brian Mattis warming up in the bullpen for the Orioles. He worked an inning and a third in the ball game last night. And pitch away. Joseph wanted to ask for the third base umpire, and home plate umpire Jerry Meals ignored him on the check swing.
Well, it was such a good pitch. You figure something had to happen. It's got to be a strike. How did he not swing at it, first of all?
That's there.
Great changeup that just faded off that outside corner.
2 ball, 1 strike count on Holt. Brock's delivery to him, and that will be fouled straight back. Count at 2-2. We showed you much earlier in the ball game how the Oriole pitchers had all those foul balls that came up against them. They certainly haven't had that number to be diminished in this game. And a lot of foul balls by Red Sox batters against both Tillman and now against Brock. He'll try the 2-2 again on Holt. Slapper, got to get over the cover. It's a race. Diving, gets away. He's in there. He'll stay at first. I think he was going to win that race anyway, but here again, those dangerous head first dives at first base.
Yeah, it was a dangerous, great pitch here. Really don't want to go head first, but it was poorly executed by the Orioles defense, and I feel bad saying that, but all spring long they've worked on this play where Davis can't bite on that ball, has to go back to the base and let the second baseman or the pitcher take the deep angle to make that play. Well, Brock couldn't get there, but Flaherty was right behind Davis and would have eliminated that tough angle that Chris Davis had to make that play to Brock.
It is an infield hit picked up by Holt, so he's got a 3-hit ball game, 3 for 4. Runner on with 2 down. And here's Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia's 0 for 3, and this one 0 for 6 in the 2 games. And he's had some opportunities. Came up with a couple on in the 3rd inning and recorded the final out. Came up in the 5th inning with 2 on and struck out. Now again with a runner on. There goes Holt. Throw down by Joseph and gets away. Stolen base. And Holt gets into scoring position. He just knew he was going to take off on that one.
Yeah, does not waste any time. It's a good jump, and Caleb, who has been so good at throwing out potential base stealers, sleeves that one up. I think Ryan tried to put the tag down a little bit too soon. Nice backup by Cabrera.
First stolen base, 1 for 1 in the year for Holt. Now Pedroia. Orioles up by 1. 1-0 count. And the pitch will be taken outside for a ball. What a day. Red Sox 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They have left 6 on base. 4 of those have been in scoring position. Pedroia takes, that's on the corner for a strike. So Brock trying to get another tough out and get out of the 7th inning.
Well, he's going to be careful here with Dustin Pedroia. The open base now. Big Papi on deck and Brian Mattis out in the bullpen. Mattis so much success against David Ortiz throughout his career. That would be the ideal matchup.
Swung on and fouled off by Pedroia.
Good pitch there. So not giving in at all. Good changeup. Nothing on the plate at all to Pedroia.
Pedroia 1 for 2, the only times he has faced Brock. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Holt. Potential tying run on at second base. And with 2 away, of course, he'll be off on contact. If there is one. 2-2 delivery, Pedroia outside. So a 3-2 count.
Indeed, they are being careful with him. This could be one of those situations where he get the split fin or the change or the hard slider that Pedroia might not be expecting.
Three-two delivery, and Pedroia goes down swinging after a pitch that was not in the strike zone, and Brock gets him. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. 2-1 O's.
Red Sox, and now it's time for the AT&T call to the bullpen. Our AT&T call to the bullpen is a proud partner of the Baltimore Orioles. AT&T mobilizing your world. Take a look at Anthony Varvaro. 3 pitches, a fastball, slider, and the change, and mixes them up all pretty equally. Fastball working in the low 90s. The changeup is his big pitch. His earned run average of 1.69. Only 5 1/3 innings of work so far this year. 4 punch-outs, a couple walks for Varvaro.
Varvaro coming over from the Atlanta Braves for minor league pitcher in cash. He is 30 years old, out of Staten Island, went to St. John's University where he played college ball. He'd been with Seattle and Atlanta to major league level, has appeared in 157 major league games coming into this season. So Varvaro, a veteran at the major league level. On, Ogando retired the side in order with a strikeout in relief of Buchholz, who gave up 2 runs, 11 hits over 6. Manny Machado will lead it off against the right-hander, and the pitch outside for a ball. Machado, Joseph, and Flaherty will be due up for the Orioles. RBI and a ground ball out. 4th inning for Manny. 0 for 3 in the game. 0 for 7 in the series. Taking a look at the numbers so far in this young season, and there you see Darren O'Day up. As far as the offenses around Major League Baseball, according to Baseball Reference, It's about where it was last year. Pitch away, averaging 4.1 runs a game, almost exactly what it was last year. The strikeout rate at 20.5%, just like last year. Walks up only slightly, on base percentage down. Slugging's exactly the same as last year. Shutouts are up 14% last year and 18 this year. There's a big leadoff walk for Manny Machado. So the Orioles get the leadoff man on here in the 8th inning, where you're looking. I mean, you'd like to score 100 runs, but if you can't, you'd like to score 1.
Right. Yeah, runs have been hard to come by here. The first 2 games of this series, very successful. Either team with runners in scoring position.
So that will bring Joseph up. Sandoval in at third, looking for a bunt. Joseph a single, a walk, and a strikeout. See what Caleb does here. He does square. He does drop it. Play at second base. Gun there right into the runner. The tag put on and out just in case. The out had already been called on Manny Machado, as Favaro rifled a fastball to the shortstop Bogaerts.
Yeah, I didn't think, or I don't think Manny was expecting it to come to second base, a little bit in between, and ended up was crashing there, sliding over the base. Ball kind of surprised him. Bogaerts had his foot on the base, so he gets the force, and then he goes back and tags him anyway.
See Manny do that. It causes you to stop breathing. That's how the injuries have occurred on plays that have been somewhat like that. Here is Ryan Flaherty, a runner at first base, and the pitch will be taken away. Flaherty with a couple of hits, 2 singles, and he is struck out. Cabrera, number 9 hitter, waiting on deck. Sandoval again in at third base, and that pitch is on the inside corner for a strike.
Pretty good change. I mentioned he was very comfortable with the changeup, and he's used it here in this inning. Right there, even with the hole, Caleb Joseph at first base, he's not afraid to throw that changeup.
Favara's delivery, and that ball is tagged to right field, but right at Nava. Flaherty hit it hard. Nava's got it though, and there are 2 down. Runner back to the bag. Follow the Orioles all season long with MLB.com at bat, #1 app for live baseball. At bat up to the moment, at any moment. In-game highlights, look-ins, replays, radio broadcast, statcast, and more. You can get it MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Here is Cabrera, single, 1 for 3, 2 for 6 in the series. Sandoval moves in a couple more steps at third. Joseph on at first base, held by Napoli. Navarro's delivery will be up high for a ball. Robbie Ross in the bullpen for Boston. Be in there for a strike at 84 miles an hour. 1 ball, 1 strike on the changeup.
Change there. Sandoval, you mentioned him. He's been in all game. The way Navarro came off the mound and fielded that bump from Caleb, you think Sandoval might move back a little bit. Pretty good fielder there. Give yourself a little room to make a play.
1-1 delivery on the way. Foul back. So 1 ball, 2 strike count on Everett Cabrera. Hitting .281 so far in the year with a single RBI. Napoli will continue to hold the bag on Joseph, since it's only a 1-run ball game, giving Cabrera that additional hole between first and second. Navarro's delivery to him, a grounder. Got a force at second base. And that's right where Bogaerts goes. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on base. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Orioles up by 1. Opportunities where the pitchers have won the battles.
Yeah, they sure have. Orioles have had some chances, 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position with 10 left on base. And the Red Sox 0 for 9 runners in scoring position. They left 7 on base. So yeah, pitchers have come up with the big pitches to leave a lot of runners stranded. Darren O'Day now into the ball game. Take a look at his pitch arsenal. A fastball 49% of the time. The breaking ball, a sweeping slider at 51% of the time. He sinks his fastball right into the top of the zone. So his earned run average 1.50 to the start for O'Day. Just 2 hits given up in the 6 innings of work with 6 punch-outs.
O'Day worked in the ball game last night at inning and 2/3. Had 2 strikeouts and gave nothing up. Tillman a run on 6 hits, 5 1/3. Brad Brock solid inning and 2/3. He gave up 1 hit and had 2 strikeouts in the game. Now O'Day, and he will go against Ortiz. David Ortiz, a double and a run scored in the 6th on the RBI base hit on a little infield hit by Sandoval. Orioles with a full shift on. Ortiz has had a 1 for 6 against O'Day, and that 1 hit was a home run. Ortiz 3-hit ball game, 3 for 3, 2 singles, double. Good day for the DH. Hitting .237 now with a couple of home runs on the year. O'Day shows him nothing on the first 2, and the count goes to 2-0.
A little surprise here. They had Brian Mattis up earlier, and I thought he might come in if Brock couldn't get out of that inning to face Ortiz. But here, going back with Darren O'Day.
He'll get it in there. He saw Koji up in the bullpen for the Red Sox. Uehara. 3-0 count. Ramirez and then Sandoval due up here in the 8th inning. O'Day's delivery. We stepped out of the batter's box. Strike called. It's just not a good idea. You take away the strike zone from the umpire completely when you do that, and you're likely not to have that work in your favor. 3-1 delivery on the way, and that is outside, and Ortiz will get a walk. Leadoff man on. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Well, Ortiz was the leadoff man in the 6th inning when he got the double and would come around to score. Now he's the leadoff man on here. Pinch runner will come on for him. Mookie Betts will take over the DH role. Representing the potential tying run, and here is Ramirez, 0 for 3 in the ball game. Ramirez 0 for 6 in the 2 games.
Darren likes to get a ground ball here or even a punch out. He can do both. Of course, that sweeping slider, big strikeout pitch, but his 2-seam fastball from down under gets good sink.
Ramirez has also had a home run off O'Day. Only a couple of at-bats, the 1 for 2. Mets, of course, with outstanding speed. If you're John Farrell, do you take a chance here? 1-run ball game late. Betts is 3 for 3, stealing bases. Runner not going, and the pitch will be high and away. 1-0 count. That's walked off pretty good lead. Andy Baylor giving him the time to the plate on O'Day, first base coach. One-0, fakes the go, pitch up and in. 2-0.
Be careful, definitely with Ramirez, but fall behind and now have to throw a cookie here. 2-0, very dangerous hitter, 4 home runs already in this young season.
Garcia in the bullpen for the Orioles. Ramirez 2-0 delivery to him. Ground ball back to the mound. O'Day, chance for two. There's one. Flaherty relay, and they got it. So the Orioles turn another big double play as they did in the 6th inning. And that eliminates that leadoff batter.
Yeah, beautiful. Nice smile on his face right there. Gets a little comebacker. Gathers himself. Gets it out to Ryan Flaherty, and Flaherty finishes it off. Big time double play right there. And Darren O'Day has a lot of experience in this game right now, and he knows what he can do, and there is no panic in these tough situations when he has the ball in his hand.
2 down, nobody on. Here is Sandoval. Sandoval has faced O'Day only a couple of times, 1 for 2. Orioles put shift on against him. He has a base hit, RBI. Came in the 6th inning. Sandoval will take that one for a strike. 8th inning of a 2-1 ball game. Opened it last night with a 3-2 Red Sox win. Now the Orioles try to preserve a victory here in this ball game. Tillman's still the pitcher of record, as is the starter Buchholz for the Red Sox. 0-1 delivery, O'Day, and then it'll be fouled off.
Getting some good movement there with the fastball. Velocity not up in the high 80s like typical Darren O'Day fastball. 85 right there, but the movement was great. Wallace looking on. Be happy with the performance by the arm so far that's been in this game.
Oh-2 delivery on the way. Had him fooled on that pitch. Turned on it, way out in front. And a 2-strike count on Sandoval. We'll see how Sandoval fares in the American League after the outstanding seasons that he had with the Giants. Big deal that was much talked about in the offseason. Delivery to him. Sandoval will take that one away. He's a .294 major league hitter, great average. 16 home runs with the Giants last year, 14 the year before. Not a big home run hitter. RBIs generally in the mid to upper 70s. O'Day, a 1-2 pitch to him and blew it by him. O'Day gets the strikeout, retires the side after a leadoff walk, facing only 3. We go to the 9th inning as the Orioles have a 2-1 lead. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by PNC for the achiever in you. Just enjoying a day at the yard. Same thing you'll say to the officer, I only had one. 2-11-1 for the Orioles, 1-7-0 for the Red Sox.
Yeah, Robbie Ross now on. Take a look at his pitch arsenal. 2 pitches, but does have that change up in his arsenal because he was one time a starter with the Texas Rangers. Came over to the Red Sox by way of trade. 3.86 earned run average, 4 2/3 innings of work, the 3 punch outs, just the 1 walk to start the season off. Likes the fastball and has natural cut life. Works at high 80s, low 90s.
So the left-hander will start here in the 9th inning. Alejandro De Aza for the Orioles. De Aza top of the order, and 0 for 4 in the ball game, and 0 for 8 in the series. That's a drag bunt, and that's a great play. Ross got over there, fumbled it a little bit, but somehow found a handle and records the out.
That was a nice play. Now lefty falling off to the third base side, kind of regroups, juggles a little bit, a little power feed to get De Aza. De Aza checking him out too, thinks he's got it. A pretty nice play there by Ross.
So there's 1 out here in the 9th inning. They get the defense set now. Everybody moving around. Steve Pearce coming up. Shift put on in the infield against him. Pearce last season .327 off left-handers, and he had 9 home runs. Steve, a base hit. He has struck out twice, flied out. Ross with the 0-1 count on him. Pearce will put that one just out of the reach of Bogaerts, and a base hit into left field. So a 2-hit ball game for Steve Pearce, and potentially a very big run here in the 9th inning as the Orioles will get their 12th hit of the game.
This ball is whistled out there on the inner third of the plate. And Bogaerts can't even get a half a step going. It's by him into the outfield. You see Steve Pearce squaring up a couple balls in this game.
Pearce on. The infield shifts the other way. Chris Davis, 3 strikeouts and a single. 188 off left-handers last year. It was after the first pitch by Ross and fouls it back. Well, these have been 2 very tough games to open up this 4-game set. The Oriole closer Zach Britton getting ready. Chris has seen Ross in only a couple of at-bats. He has 1 for 2 against him. Davis will take the pitch outside.
Robbie Ross came over from Texas, but the Rangers thought there was more in that arm than just coming out of the bullpen. So last year he actually started 12 games for the Rangers, but unfortunately he couldn't really make that adjustment and had an off year. His earned run average up over 6, so he's pretty happy to be back in the bullpen. He feels like that's where he belongs, and the Red Sox are using him that way.
It'll be down low, stopped by Hannigan, holding the runner at first base, and a 2-ball, 1 strike count. A Major League .398 earned run average career for Ross. 2-1 delivery on the way. So the Orioles, Chris Davis gets ahead on the count, 3-1. Play musical chairs in the infield. Sandoval comes all the way over to play in shallow right field. They move Bogaerts back to shortstop. Keep Pedroia close to second. 3-1 delivery to him, and that ball hit in the air the other way. Looking up, way back near the monster, and goodbye, home run! Chris Davis delivers one the other way here in the 9th inning. 2 RBIs, and the Orioles take a 4-1 lead.
The Orioles have been waiting for that. Created a little bit of separation with this team. A big shot by Chris Davis. In the first 2 games, they've been working him away with fastballs. Finally gets the bat head to one and shoots it up over the monster.
Boy, a couple of very big runs, and for our Maryland lottery contestant, another $500. The Orioles take a 3-run lead here in the top of the 9th inning. Pearce coming in ahead of them. That ball's going to be fouled back, so our Lexus of Towson drive of the game, brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 volume Lexus dealer.
Chris Davis backing a Robbie Ross fastball up and shooting it up over the green monster. Going to have enough, or is Ramirez going to have to try to play it off a wall again? Just enough. Big shot.
Take a visit. Lexus of Towson, 5 years running, #1. See why at lexusofTowson.com. Broken bat, bloop towards center, very deep in center field hold. He'll get there though, and Jones is retired. The home run worth $500. Robert Snow, our Maryland lottery contestant. Congratulations. So there are 2 down here in the 9th inning. Orioles came in tied for first in home runs hit. Chris Davis. The big blast right there for the Orioles, who have now had 17 home runs on the season. Tillman a chance to be the winner and a better shot at it now. Set the stage for a save, at least at the moment. That ball in the air to right field, hit hard. Nava's there though, and he will put it away. Paredes is retired, but the Orioles pick up 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, nobody left. Home run by Davis extends the lead. Now can he get the save? Can keep it that way. Bottom of the 9th, the Orioles up 4-1.
Yeah, pretty nice job so far by this Orioles bullpen. They're looking to finish it off with Zach Britton, 88% fastballs, that devastating sinker in the mid-90s, and then the breaking ball uses 12% of the time. 1.69 earned run average. Got the 3 saves in his 3 opportunities. Love to pick another one up here.
Orioles will make defensive changes here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. David Lowe come on to play for Pierce and right. Pierce will go to first for Davis. And Zach Britton will work with Napoli. Mike Napoli to lead it off. Napoli, Nava, and Bogarts due up 6, 7, 8 in the lineup against Zach Britton as the Orioles try and even up this series here with a victory. Napoli 0 for 5 off the Oriole closer. And Britton's delivery will be taken outside for a ball. Chris Davis getting his 5th career home run here at Fenway Park in that 9th inning. The 2 RBI shot. Big runs, obviously. 4 runs on 13 hits in the game for the Orioles. And on the inside corner for a strike.
Chris Davis, a threat throughout the ball game to hit one out of the ballpark, but pretty nice today. The fact that his hits all came the other way. A single to left center, and then that home run straight away to left field.
1-1 delivery on the way, and a chopper. Zach Britton. 1 down. Napoli retired. Britton is 3 for 3 lifetime against the Red Sox in saves. His record is 2-2. This is the 14th game he's appeared in against Boston in his career. Alan Craig will come off the bench. He'll be the pinch hitter for Nava.
Alan Craig kind of getting lost a little bit. Came over in the big trade last year, but now delegated to a bench role. Getting a lot of playing time here in the early going.
So Craig had only 12 at bats, 1 for 12 as a pinch hitter, 1 for 4. Zach Britton with a 1-ball, 1-strike count on him. Tillman, a chance to be the winner, would be 2-1 if the Orioles can hang on. Buchholz would take the loss. He'd be 1-2. And Zach Britton, if he protects this, will get the save. 1-1 delivery by Britton. That'll be fouled off the other way.
Chris Davis talking to Delman Young over there. Pinch hitters, pinch hitter extraordinaire, Delman Young.
Britton with a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Craig will take that one down low. 4-13-1 for the Orioles, 1-7-0 for Boston. Tough battle. These two teams have ground out a couple of games, and they've got 2 more to go in this set. John Farrell's team coming in with that 7-3 mark, and the Orioles at 5-5. And Britton will just miss outside with it. So the count full, 3 balls, 2 strikes on Craig, with Bogaerts due up next.
You know, Chris Tillman had the good outing, and we talked about his stats on his road and home numbers, where his earned run average was so much better at home, and on the road, really pitched.
Got him on a call strike.
Beautiful fastball right there from Zach Britton, 95 miles an hour. Tillman really relying on the Orioles offense and the run support as we look at this fastball. Up a little bit with great velocity in the short arm. That's that deception.
So 2 down. Dissension if you're the Red Sox.
Well,
Xander Bogaerts, 2 away. Britton needs 1 more to wrap it up. And the off-speed delivery is in there for a strike. Bogaerts has gone 0 for 2. He has picked up a walk. Britton trying to go through the inning clean. Get him out of there. He's 1 for 3. Bogaerts is against the left-hander. 0-1 pitch to him. That'll miss down low for a ball. Machado, Joseph, and Davis, the RBIs in the ball game for the Orioles. Fouls that one off.
really nice approaches, and the Orioles offense, they've had nice approaches most of their ball games, understanding what they need to do, good game plans against the starting pitchers. They put together good at bats. Maybe not been as productive as a lot of them had hoped, but they're seeing a lot of pitches. They're trying to get that starter out of there early. And here in this ball game, the times they have driven runs across, they've been quality. Manny Machado, even though he made an out, he did the right thing. Hard ground ball up the middle. Scored the run, got a guy over. Caleb Joseph picking up the big hit. He's staying hot. And Chris Davis, we just wait for him to hit home runs and look forward to every swing.
And as the game progressed, the defensive plays the Orioles made early in the ball game really mattered. First inning, when Ortiz got thrown out trying to extend a single by De Aza, and Sandoval denied a hit in the corner again by De Aza in the second inning. Those are big plays. Defensively, you never know early in the ball game how it'll look, whether it'll matter. It did. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Bogaerts will sway again, miss, and this one's over. So Zach Britton comes on, a couple of strikeouts, retires the side in order, and the Orioles come away with a victory. 4-13-1 for the Orioles, 1-7-0 for Boston. As both teams had other scoring opportunities, the pitching was good in this game on both sides, and that big home run by Davis in the 9th inning after Pierce had picked up the single, giving the Orioles a little breathing room here in the 9th inning. So these two teams 1-1 going into game 3, which will be played tomorrow here at Fenway. Afternoon game, 1 o'clock goes extra and 1:30 for the ball.
You know what's impressive about this game